Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Chiefs Kingdom. Welcome to the Chiefs Digest live stream here on Tuesday nights. Great to see everyone. I know we've already got some comments in the hopper. People are talking. A lot going on in Chiefs Kingdom. There's going to be a lot to talk about. I imagine we will get a lot of questions tonight about a variety of topics, but I can imagine the one that will probably be at the top of the list will probably involve the quarterback. ACLs, injuries, all those things. I can always count on Luttrell for a little hooray. It is Q&A day to start things off. I am going to start off real quick with a couple of things, and one is to deal with you did not get an episode of 41 is the mic after the game on Sunday. Unfortunately, our dear friend Nick Jacobs had a death in the family, and that has taken the first and foremost of all of his attention. And I know he's got the support of all of us here in the 41 is the Mike family and the Chiefs Digest family. Everyone, keep Nick and his family in your prayers and thoughts. It's a difficult time for the Jacobs family. So thinking of Nick, he is doing well, but he is taking some time off for the rest of the years, I think. So probably our next episode of 41 is the mic will be most likely after the Raiders game. If anything changes, we'll let you know. But it's important for Nick to be with his family and to fully support that. And I know we all would love to talk about the games and everything like that, but with 41 is the mic, that's Nick's chair, and I may do some things with Chiefs Digest, when maybe we'll be able to do some post game things, but I am not doing 41 is the mic without Nick. That is his seat. He's the guy. So would never do that show without him. So, like I said, might do some things with 41 is the mic here in the next couple of weeks, the next couple of games. We'll see what kind of happens. As for the game on Sunday, and any thoughts that, if you got some questions about the game on Sunday, feel free to throw them in the hopper and everything. I'm not sure that there's much more than I can say other than that was another microcosm of the Chiefs season. It's the reason why they're eliminated from the playoffs is games just like what happened on Sunday. Poor execution, too many mistakes, take your pick, turnovers, errant throws, bad decisions on the field by everybody, drops that were even a little bit present there. We didn't see the really bad drops, like the drops that turned into interceptions, but we saw a little bit of everything in that game. That was really why the Chiefs are in the situation that they are, and I really am at a loss to explain it. You once again, you look at a lot of the numbers and you say that this team should not be in the situation that they're in, but they shouldn't be 6-8, but they are. Chiefs shouldn't have been 15-2 last year. They know that they got lucky in a few games. It's the crazy thing is that, I mean, if this team made the playoffs, I mean, for somehow had they made the playoffs, I'm still naive enough to think that they could have pulled something together and could have figured something out, but not to be this season. And now we will look forward to 2026, and obviously the entire offseason is going to be dictated by the state of Patrick Mahomes and that left knee and what's going on in there. Obviously, we know about the ACL tear. We also have the report about the LCL tear as well. What we don't know for certain is if there is any other damage in the knee. Obviously, sometimes in these situations, there could be other ligaments that, even if they're not torn, could be strained. Talking with athletic trainers, there can be neurological damage sometimes in injuries like this that's got to be in consideration. Meniscus tears are common in situations like this. We do not know any of those things. We don't know if they did or did not happen. We just know about the ACL and the LCL. Those two together aren't great. Having two, ligaments that you are going to be rehabbing, not ideal. There is a good and bad, and I think the situation that the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes is going to have a lot of people helping him rehab. And like I said, I mean, that could be good and bad. I think it's notable not necessarily that Patrick had the surgery in Dallas with Dr. Dan Cooper. That guy, forget the fact that he's the Cowboys surgeon and physician. The guy is the premier orthopedist these days in the NFL for ACLs and for injuries just like that, anything in the knee. He's the premier guy to go to. So no issues there. And and I have people who tell me that even though that sometimes it's bad when you're doing an ACL tear so quickly that you want to wait until the swelling goes down. I've had others, people tell me that the fact that they did the surgery so quickly was an indication that the swelling was down, so it's a good thing. Bottom line is that you're going to probably continually hear a lot in the days and weeks ahead. We just don't really know the full details of everything about it. We'll hopefully find out more. You will probably never know all the details about the injury. That's just the state of the NFL. There are injuries that I find out all the time about that happened years ago that we just find out, something that happened that we did not know about at the time. That's the nature of the injuries. Teams and players like to be as guarded as they possibly can and not share anything that they don't have to. And obviously, in a situation like this, you can't just say that Patrick Mahomes is out and not explain why he's gone for 9 to 12 months. But we do know the details as much as we know right now. So let's see what happens. Obviously, it's going to be an interesting offseason. Chiefs have a lot of things to work on, and now, kind of dealing with the quarterback situation, figuring out how they need to be ready to play some, if not a significant part, maybe even all of 2026 without Patrick Mahomes. That's going to be a consideration. So from that, I'm just going to let you all dictate it. We'll try and go lightning round tonight and see how that goes. I'll try not to wander as much as I usually do. I'm going to start off with a couple of super chats. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Once again, I keep forgetting to go into the settings and see if there's anything I can change that will get your real names that you prefer to use on here than your avatar or just your usernames. But because I'm pretty sure this is Dog Petter, but we need McDaniels from New England to be our OC, not HC. I tell you what, I mean, Josh McDaniels has worked out to be a pretty good offensive coordinator, which is contrary to how bad he is as a head coach. Working out pretty well. I don't think that New England's going to let him go, though. Things are going pretty well for them, and as long as he and Mike Vrabel get along, I don't think anything's going to change there. There's a lot of we'll see. I mean, I only expect Matt Nagy to be gone if he chooses to be gone, if he goes to get a head coaching opportunity. And Tennessee looks like it could be a possibility. I think he'd be a good fit there. Obviously, the relationship with Mike Berganzi, but Chad Brinker and Mike Berganzi are generally on the same page on things. If they want Matt Nagy, I think he'd be a good choice there. Otherwise, I don't think that the OC job is going to open up. But I don't think the Chiefs would get Josh McDaniels. And the funny thing is that as good as McDaniels is, he has had some really, really bad seasons as an OC as well. So maybe it's just the perfect place for him, and he probably shouldn't leave. Maybe Drake May is his quarterback. There is no place to go. But Josh McDaniels is an interesting coach. That's all I'm going to say, dog. Appreciate the super question there. And I'm DeBrown. Back to the question about Coach Reid. Did this season look more like the last two seasons in Philly? He's called out problems but never fixed them. That has come up as a talking point, on DeBrown this week that this, did look a little bit in some ways. At least the record is looking like that. But I think you also have to look at the big picture of that, because I'm going to go. I believe it was really the last 3 seasons that were the problem in Philadelphia, because it started out in 2010 they were 10-6, 2011 8-8, then 2012 4-12. I mean, there was a little bit of it was not falling off the face of the earth, but at the same time, there were other things in Philadelphia that, I mean, that was those last 2 years, the 8-8 year and the 4-12 season. I mean, let's just focus on the 8-8 year. The 8-8 year, didn't have some of the things like we're talking about with the Chiefs team. I mean, that was just a pretty mediocre average football team. I don't think this is a mediocre average football team. I still think, and you look at the numbers would say that this is a team that's had some bad luck. Last year's was a team that had a lot of good luck. This year's is a team that's had some bad luck. You know, that Eagles team, let me go back to it and see. Let's look at some of their numbers for you. I'm the Brown, 8-8 season in Philadelphia. Let's see. They actually had actually a scoring a net scoring margin pretty close to where the Chiefs are right now. Let's see, do the math there. They were plus 68 in points despite being 8-8. 8th overall in scoring, 10th in defense. Now they had here's one scenario I will grant you is that Amda Brown was that they had some people miscast on that coaching staff. And chief amongst them, Juan Castillo. Juan Castillo is a terrific offensive line coach. I still don't know why Juan Castillo was defensive coordinator for that team, other than Andy Reid needed a defensive coordinator, wanted somebody that he could trust, loved Juan Castillo, wanted him to be on staff, a lot of things there. So I still can't explain that. I don't know why but that's one of the problems I think that this Chiefs team has is that Andy Reid is loyal to his guys. He wants to keep around people that he thinks are good coaches. And Juan Castillo's a great coach. I mean, he's still a great coach. He's an offensive line coach now at UCLA. He knew what was happening at Michigan because he ejected out of Michigan just before everything went down last week and went to UCLA. So he obviously knew what was coming. I guess that should have been the precursor to everything else. But there was a lot of other, I think just drama and issues, and obviously they didn't have a quarterback in Philadelphia. I mean, I get where you're going, and you might be proven right. I mean, maybe the Chiefs are going to come out next year and they're going to be 5-12 or 4-13, and I just don't. I mean, well, Mahomes' injury situation now, maybe that's entirely possible. It could be the case. I still don't think it's going to happen. That's not to be said, though, to your point that there are not things on this team that need to be fixed, that there aren't some issues that need to be fixed. And coaching staff, there are things that need to be fixed. I mean, there are mistakes that this team is making that I do believe are related to coaching and not head coaching, but individual coaching, position group coaching. I think there's also, some issues with getting the right 53, as is the popular phrase. Not entirely sure that the Chiefs have that. So, that's one of the things that they're going to have to figure out. They're going to have to retool a lot of things. So, I'm not poo-pooing you, Amden Brown. I'm giving you the fact that you legitimately may be right. I'm not there yet. I don't think that this team is going to have another season like this next year. I mean, barring that they don't have Patrick Mahomes for a significant amount of time. That could be the deal breaker. And that's going to be another issue to discuss probably down the road. I mean, if the Chiefs have a bad year next year and Patrick Mahomes doesn't play the majority of the year, I mean, do you have another mulligan in your pocket? Well, if you're Andy Reid, you probably do. I mean, if you're going to play without your quarterback, everybody pretty much gets a mulligan. So I certainly hope Chiefs fans don't have to go through that. I hope it's not another difficult season. I think that if they make the right steps this offseason, even if they don't have Mahomes for a portion of the season, I think they can get by. But again, they're going to have to make the right decisions. They're going to have to make the right draft picks. They're going to have to make the right trades, whatever, make the right decisions on the coaching staff. There's things to figure out. So hopefully we'll see that. But I'm around. Hey, if the Chiefs come back and they're like 5-12 next year, I'm going to give you all the credit in the world, man. I absolutely will. Luttrell, I am speechless. Incredibly generous of you at the holidays. Very, very kind of you. I always appreciate your being the first one in the chats with the hooray, hooray. It's Q&A day. I appreciate the support. You've been there since day one with the live streams and everything here on the Chiefs Digest channel. I truly appreciate that. That is very kind. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. And I've always enjoyed our interactions over the years, your questions, your contributions. I can say that about a lot of you out there. Truly appreciate this group. You are what makes doing this a lot of fun. And I know I resisted this for a long time. I'm glad I've been doing it. Hey, I still get a little apprehensive. I still have my anxieties, but we have a lot of fun. I think a lot of you have fun here too. So incredibly generous of you, Luttrell. I truly appreciate that. You are very kind, and happy holidays to you as well. Chief 94. Hope you're doing well after a horror season. Question: if you woke up tomorrow as GM of the Chiefs, what 3 things would you change first going into next season? Ooh, interesting question, Chief 94. What's the first? I'm just thinking that you're saying GM, so I'm Brett Veach here in this situation. So I'm not telling Coach anything to do with his coaching staff or anything like that. But, I mean, well, the first thing I'm going to do is my scouting staff is going to have 4 positions that they are going to focus on for free agency and for the draft. And you just got an extra month of time to do it. So I'm putting running back, I'm putting D end, I'm putting defensive tackle, and I'm putting cornerback up on the board, saying we need to hit those 4 spots in free agency and the draft. So go at it, start doing your work. Let's figure out who do we need at each of these spots. What are we going to do? You're still a little ways from, because one of the things I'm going to want to do is I want to know where I'm drafting. And I'll tell you what, I would go full Brett Veach trade mode here. I would be moving around the board like crazy. And I mean, if the Chiefs right now, they're holding the 12th pick in the draft. I don't know if I would stay at 12. I mean, unless there's a player that drops to 12 that is absolutely just lights out. This is a guy that's going to be a difference maker. I mean, I know we're going to have to talk about Jeremiah Love at some point, and I imagine that drafting a running back in the first round is going to be one of those divisive issues in Chiefs Kingdom. I'm not entirely sure what I think of it right now. I mean, I need to dive more into the college situation and look at Jeremiah Love a little bit more. I mean, obviously, I've seen highlights. I've seen a little bit of his games. But I still, numerically have some concerns about taking a running back there. But then again, I mean, if you're getting a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, who was drafted at number 12, if your scouts are my scouts tell me that that's Jeremiah Love, then maybe I do sit at 12. Maybe I see what happens. But one of my 3 things, the second of my 3 things though, is that I'm going to be talking to every GM in the league to know where they are, where they want to go, if they want to trade, because I need a lot and I need more picks. I need more picks this year and I need more picks next year. So that's why I might be bouncing around. I might not stay pat at 12. I might move around. I mean, like I said, unless I got a player at 12 that my scouting department says this is the stud, this is the difference maker, then I would like to pick up more picks. I was looking back at what the Patriots did, with when Tom Brady was coming back off of his ACL injury. And, in that draft that year, they ended up trading out of the first round. I mean, I know they were 11-5, so they had actually a decent-ish pick. I mean, I think they were 18 in that ballpark. But they traded out of the first round. They traded Mike Vrabel. They traded Matt Castle, both those guys to Kansas City. And then they made a ton of trades over the weekend to just trade back and get more picks. They traded out of the first round. They ended up with 4 seconds that year. They had a couple of thirds. They got Patrick Chung in the second round. They ended up getting Julian Edelman in the 7th. They traded and got picked up picks for what I guess that would have been 2010 as well. I mean, they kind of rebooted the organization a little bit there, and that was proved pretty critical. I mean, I think that was a pretty critical move that they walked away from some players, and that's the third thing I think I would do, Chief 94, is that I'm going to make some trades. I'm going to trade some players away, and uh, Trent McDuffie's probably one of them, because as much as I love and respect Trent McDuffie, I'm just not sure that the money is there to pay him. And he's a young guy. He's fast. He fits all of these things that you should like, but some money has been spent, and I'm not sure that you're going to be able to get some value for some other guys. And some of those guys I'm not trading Creed Humphrey. I'm not trading the best center in the league. Um, Not sure I can trade George Karlaftis. I don't know if I would get value, but since I need defensive ends and he's not bad, and he's still young, and he's still really young. I mean, Karlaftis is one of those guys that's younger than you realize. I mean, I'm still betting on George Karlaftis, but McDuffie, he's going to want a lot of money, and I'm not sure I can afford him. So I think that's the third thing I'm doing. I mean, because and that's kind of it, Chief 94. I mean, those are the three things I want to accomplish. I would want to address those four areas: running back, DT, D end, and corner. I would want to stockpile as many picks as I can for 26 and 27. If it means trading back in the draft, any of these things, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to trade some veterans. And Trent McDuffie's probably number one, because, again, I need more picks, need more shots in the draft. And I just don't think that the Chiefs financially, I'm just not sure it makes sense to sign Trent McDuffie with some of the other money that you've already spent. And I don't like it, because I do like Trent McDuffie, but he's the best slot corner in the league. He's not the best outside corner in the league, and you just can't pay him like that. And I think that's going to be the difference, is that there might be a team that's out there willing to do it. And if they are, I think you gotta give them a chance to do it. And so you're not going to get Sauce Gardner return. You're not going to get 2 firsts, because the Jets had signed him, and now it's a really affordable deal, and they ate a lot of cost to do that. The Chiefs can't do that. I mean, they can't sign Trent McDuffie and eat a bunch of money and do a sign and trade, because that's one of the reasons why you're putting Trent McDuffie on the market, is that you don't have the money to sign him. So you certainly can't sign him, eat some money, and then trade him. So you're not going to get the greatest return, but let's see what happens. Brian in the hospital? I do not like to hear that. I see you're hoping to get out of the hospital tomorrow. Well, let's hope that. I hope you are doing okay, Brian. And even from the hospital, hitting the like button, that is amazing. No, Brian, I wish Nick could join us, but he's dealing with his family and everything right now. He's exactly where he needs to be. So sounds like you're exactly where you need to be too. And so I hope that they're taking care of you well, Brian. Tyler, if the Chiefs lose out, they are most certainly picking in the top 10. If they win out, they could be picking somewhere close to 18. How do you think the Chiefs should go about the rest of their season? I mean, Tyler, I believe that the Chiefs should go about the season in 2 ways. I mean, one, you got to try and win. For your team, you can't send a message to your team that you're not trying to win. You need to send that for now, for the future, forever, to everybody. You got guys on this team that if you're playing a game and you're not trying to win, they're not going to be happy. And I know what you may say. It's like, they're getting paid. Doesn't matter what they think, all these things. It sends a bad message. And you do not want guys playing a game where they're not trying to win. Because you know what? That's the other thing. You're not trying to win, guys are going to get hurt. So, you want to try and win these games. So you're going to play some guys. I mean, there's some players who I would not play, especially if they're dinged up, if they're banged up, wouldn't try to push anything like that. Jalen Moore is going to be one of those real question marks. How badly is that knee hurt? I'm not pushing him, because Jalen Moore is part of my plans for 2026. I mean, he's going to be their right tackle. That's the plan for him in 2026. So I'm I'm not pushing him. If you need to shut him down the rest of the season, that's perfectly fine. No problems there. Uh, the other thing too is that, after winning, what's your priority? Your priority is getting ready for 2026. That to me. So you're playing young guys. You're getting them experience. Yeah, you're playing some of them right now, but honestly, there's guys that you aren't, and you need to play them more. Noel Williams played 100% of the snaps last week. That's great. He needs to do that the next 3 games. Noel Williams just full-time player the rest of the way. Ashton Gelati's been playing about 50% of the snaps. If his elbow is healthy and he can handle it, let's bump it up to 60 to 70%. Jaden Hicks needs to be playing a lot of snaps. And if that means just, taking Brian Cook off the field for some work, I mean, all the 3 of those guys. If it means a little bit less work for Chamari Connor, Brian Cook, I'd love to have him back next year. But if you're going to have Brian Cook back next year, you don't need to be exposing him a little bit. So Jaden Hicks needs more snaps. If the problem is that he's making mistakes and Spags doesn't like it, get him more experience. That's the only way he's going to get better. So get him out there. Drew Tranquil, Charles Omenihu, some of your older guys that if they're not going to be on this roster next year, then you need to be getting Gelati and Jeff Boss more experience. And I think that you can still try to win with young guys on the field. So you're not just completely waving a white flag. You're still game planning to win. You're not just tanking. I don't think you want to do that. You can't do that. But to me, those are my twin goals, Tyler. I'm trying to win games and I'm trying to get young guys playing time. And if you're not part of the plan for 2026, then you're not going to play as much. That's to me is that you're going to be a backup, and that's just the way it's going to be. Folkestone, to answer your title question, what's next? Especially finishing the season, will Andy use it to scout his roster? And based a little bit on what Andy Reid said to us on Monday, I think he's going to. Now, when we asked about playing the young guys, and I say we, Seren Petro asked a question. He said, they're playing a lot of the young guys already. True to a certain degree, but there's some guys. Brashard Smith's not playing enough. Jalen Royals isn't playing enough. Noel Williams is. Jeff Bossett isn't. You need to get some of these young guys playing time. I want to see what Kevin Knowles can do. Give him a lot of playing time. And now if there's guys who are part of your future, Jalen Watson's part of your future, get him as playing time too. What I would like to see is as much, like I said, much as the guys that are going to be on the roster in 2026 as you can, and guys who aren't are your backups. And I think Andy Reid's going to largely do that. We'll see. I'll believe it when I see it when it comes to Brashard Smith. That's the one. And there's some speculation that the Chiefs may be considering moving him to a wide receiver in the offseason. His body fits it a little bit better. Maybe he's more comfortable there. I don't know. I still liked what he was as a college running back, but I will agree he is a little undersized. He probably needs to put on some weight if he wants to be a running back. He's still a little fast there. He's not patient, so he hasn't picked that up enough. But give him some extended playing time and see. Now, if you really are considering moving him to wide receiver next year, then I get probably not exposing him to hits and putting him in that spot. But I'd like to see him used in some way whatsoever. But yeah, and folks don't. This is, let's face it, when you talk about scouting, this is a tryout for Gardner Minshew in a lot of ways. Not only for Gardner to potentially stick around in Kansas City and maybe be the guy that starts as the starting quarterback next year if Mahomes isn't ready, or play himself into competing for a starting position somewhere else. This is a big moment for him. And I do think that it's, if Gardner Minshew plays well, he's going to be the first choice to come back and be the quarterback with Mahomes next year. If no other reason, then I think that he would really, he would handle well the knowledge that, hey, I'm going to be the starter until Mahomes comes back. he would get that. He would understand it. There wouldn't be any issues when he comes back. I mean, I would think that has to be true with any quarterback that's going to come here. They're going to have to understand and realize they're the quarterback until Mahomes is ready. So, and that could be Gardner. It could be somebody else. But I think Gardner is pretty well situated. I think he's mature enough to handle that. Question is he good enough to handle that? And we're in the next 3 games, you got to find that out. And as much as I'm saying to play the young guys too, I mean, at the same time, you want to give Gardner some chance for success. So you got to give him. You can't just bench all your starting wide receivers and it's Jalen Royals and you elevate Jason Brantley from the practice squad. No, I mean you got to give him some Rashee Rice and you got to give him some Xavier Worthy. Just maybe you might do less snaps, and if you're trying to win games, and well, honestly, I want to see more Jared Wiley. If you're trying to win games, you might be going multiple tight ends. I think that would be a good game plan for this offense under Gardner to just give him a little bit more options, and I think would be pretty comfortable in an offense like that. So I think there's a reasonable chance that Andy Reid will be using the rest of this season to scout the roster in some ways. Jackson, what is your gut feeling for how the Chiefs will attack the offseason? I think they're going to be as aggressive as they can. I know from talking to people in the front office that they feel like that they've got a lot of nice pieces, that they feel like that they're not that far away, but they know they want to get younger and faster. And that's been a motto for the last couple of years. I think in some places it's probably hurt them because I think they have maybe sacrificed youth and speed at a couple of spots and sacrificing, proficiency, favoring speed over hands, maybe a receiver. I think, going for speed over route running proficiency, those kind of things. I think there's been some maybe just a little bit too much focus on youth and speed and less on production. And that's got to change a little bit. I think they have to kind of move the finishing line there a little bit. And not a question, but I wanted to say that while this season has been extremely disappointing and sad, I can speak for everyone. I say we appreciate your match. You're awesome. Well, I truly appreciate that, Dak Jackson. That is very kind of you. And between you and Luttrell with the super support there, I don't remember what I'm supposed to call that. I always call it I just remember super chats, and I can't remember the other things. But thank you, Jackson. I truly appreciate it. Very kind of you. And your other question, Jackson, any insight into how damaged Mahomes' knee was going into the game? I haven't heard. I mean, I have no reason to believe that there was a significant amount of damage in that knee that would have led to this, Jackson. That made the Chiefs concerned that this was a possibility. I've had no indication of that. So yeah, clearly the knee was bothering him. We've seen it. I mean, I'm trying to remember. I think was it just last week? I guess it was that he had tweaked it. Now he's tweaked it a couple of times, in this season. But last week I know he had the one hit that he got up from that he was really limping around a little bit. But I have no reason to believe. There's nothing that I've heard that's told me that that those injuries are connected to this one. Could it be? There's a weakness that led to this, and so it was accumulation thing. Entirely possible. But no, I haven't heard anything that's connected it that way. So I don't have any reason to believe that there was significant damage in that knee, other than, probably just like everybody else. Everything's dinged up a little bit. Everybody's limping a little bit, in an NFL season by this point in the year. So, and yes, Jackson and I'm DeBrown, I appreciate the kind words for Nick. I know he does appreciate it, and we are all thinking of him. Chris, last week I put the odds of Reid retiring at 40%. After the Mahomes injury, I'm jumping the odds to 60%. Having followed Big Red since 1990, this just feels right. Feels like the logical end for him. I'll be honest, Chris, I'm the other way. I mean, I I know that this season has been frustrating, but I think he still enjoys what he's doing. Um, does he wish it was easier? Yeah, but there have been times this season that, I mean, and most of the season, I mean, the last couple of weeks have been difficult. This is like maybe the last couple of weeks been the only time that we've seen a little bit more of a quiet and somber Andy Reid, and I think he's frustrated because he hasn't entirely known really what buttons to push to get more out of this team, and so I think that's frustrating to him. I just don't think he wants to go out this way, and I think I think there's a lot of reasons that actually the Mahomes injury to me might push it the other direction, because I don't think that he wants to hand off the team in a spot like this to somebody else. I think when he retires, I think he wants to hand off a team that's not in turmoil, a team that doesn't have a lot of issues. I think he wants to hand off a team that's Super Bowl ready and feeling good about itself. And um, I mean, he just signed the contract extension through 2029, so I've got no reason to believe that he's any interest whatsoever in walking away, and I don't think that this season is going to affect it that much. The only thing that I think that would truly affect his decision about retiring would be if there was something health related, and I've got no reason to believe that there's been any issues of that nature. Um, I, I I think for a lot of reasons, like I think this came up recently, and I said that I mentioned about how Andy Reid has reached out to some of his colleagues who have retired and said, "When did you know it was the right time?" And they're largely the response that he got back was, "Why would you think about retiring when Mahomes is your quarterback? That's what you've been waiting for your entire career. That's what every coach waits for. You don't walk away in the middle of that." I don't think he wants to walk away in the middle of Mahomes' career. I don't think he wants to leave a team with an injured Mahomes to the next guy to have to figure out and deal with and move on. I don't think he wants to end his career on a season like this. I think he would prefer to go out as a winner. So I go the other direction, Chris. I mean, I I can see. I mean, hey, you've followed him a long time, so you may be right about this, but I've gotten just I've gotten no indications from this man over the last 5 years that he's thinking in any way from retirement. And I say that with the whole nonsense story out of Phoenix that was completely taken the wrong way and blown out of proportion, that he was never considering retirement. He made a dry joke that somebody took the wrong way, but this man has literally not considered retirement in any form. About the boast that he's considered retiring has just been asking people, when did they know it was time to walk away? And I don't think he's ready to walk away. Tracy, do you think they should cut Mike Edwards and bring back Glendon Miller? I mean, I Mike Edwards has been been a good player for them. I'm not ending anybody's career to or walking away from somebody that hasn't deserved it. And Mike Edwards hasn't done anything to deserve being let go for the Chiefs. So I would probably be loyal to the guy there a little bit. Now that said, if you get an opportunity to bring Glendon Miller back, I would, because I really liked Glendon Miller in training camp. So, yeah, if he's available, and I mean, and there's going to be other spots available. I mean, there's a lot of guys dinged up right now, so they may have to bring up some other players from the practice squad. They're probably going to get another practice squad position here in the next few days. I mean, when they put Patrick Mahomes inevitably on injured reserve, I'm assuming that they are going to be signing Chris Oladokin to the 53. So there's going to be another practice squad spot come up. I'd love to see Glendon Miller back. I really liked him, so I would not hesitate about that. But I wouldn't have to get rid of Mike Edwards to make it happen. And Apocalypse, haven't heard anyone mention Damian Pierce. Talked about getting some carries in the next games. Did I miss something? Haven't missed anything. And maybe the playoff situation will change things for a little bit, but largely when his name has come up the last couple of weeks, it's been with the idea that honestly, this is maybe more of a Tyquan Thornton type signing, that they bring in Pierce and kind of see what he's got and how he fits in, and get him some work on the scout team, and maybe get him some reps in practice with the ones and just see what he's got. And maybe for an investment in the offseason for next year. But maybe it will change things. But I will say, I mean, it's difficult for anyone. It's difficult for anyone to come in and pick up an Andy Reid offense and start knowing what to do in this short of time. And there is, I think, I would be interested in seeing him possibly on special teams. I maybe he will get into some games. Remember, Tyquan didn't play at all for the Chiefs last year once they brought him in. It was really just say almost like an internship. It was a redshirt experience for sure. But I don't know. I really don't. I mean, like I said, just because the vibe that I've been getting the last few weeks was that they didn't really have any intention of getting Dameon Pierce on the field. But does that change now? Well, we'll see. And I'll poke around Infopocalypse this week and see if I can get any more insight onto that, and if things have changed a little bit. Chris, do you see this being a 3-year rebuild, with next season being a 4-13 season, a Rusty Mahomes finding his footing in 27, then another Super Bowl run in 28? I mean, maybe I'm just naively bullish, but I mean, I still think this team is good enough to compete every single year. I mean, especially if they've got a healthy-ish Mahomes for most of the season. I mean, if you told me right now that Mahomes was going to miss the first 4 games of the year and be available for the rest of the season, I mean, as long as if you got a quarterback that could get you to 2-2. Now I realize, this year the Chiefs didn't even start that well. So, there's nothing guaranteed. I still think this was a weird year. I think Brazil was weird. I think there was a lot of things that put this team behind the 8 ball from the very, very beginning. So I think as long as Mahomes is your quarterback, you are never sacrificing a season. You're never just taking an L and moving on. I mean, because any year is a year you can win a Super Bowl. And next year's going to be the same thing. I mean, I don't expect Patrick Mahomes, that even when he returns next season, to be 100%, but he's still good enough. And if you've got a team around him that can play, you can challenge for a Super Bowl every single year. So I don't think, I mean, the same thing happened in New England. I mean, I know New England went 9 years between Super Bowls, but they weren't terrible in those 9 years. I mean, they made the playoffs all but one of those seasons. The one season they didn't, they were 11-5. So I don't see any reason why. I mean, if the Chiefs go 4-13 next year and Patrick Mahomes plays 13 games, that's a problem. I mean, I don't think that's a Rusty Mahomes. I think that's a problem of things being worse. And this would be I'm the Browns scenario come into play. I mean, this would be that this team is lost, that they have just let themselves fall too far behind talent wise, that their coaching is not on point. And then you can certainly talk about needing to change things around a little bit. I just don't think that's going to happen. I mean, I don't think this is to me, I'm not even sure if I use rebuild. I mean, this should be a reloading season for sure. But because I think when you do get Patrick Mahomes back, you want him to have what he needs to run an offense. So you need to get the pieces that he needs. You need to start, getting a new wide receiver room. You need to probably have some coaching changes that's going to help you have a better team all around. So I'm not forfeiting on any season when Patrick Mahomes is my quarterback, even if he's only there for part of the season. I'll push all in with Patrick anytime. And also from Chris, are you all surprised that Mahomes was seriously hurt this season with the lack of good coaching and preparation? It felt like it was a matter of when, not if, that Mahomes was going to go down. I mean, I'll tell you what, the fact that this guy has just avoided serious injuries for the most part, and honestly, I mean, the dislocated kneecap, that was an injury that would have kept most quarterbacks and most players out a lot longer than 2 games. So I mean, I honestly, seriously, I mean, it would just because of the way that this guy has dodged injuries and a little bit of, I mean, I fell for a little bit of the talk about how that this guy's got, rubber joints and everything, that the elastic ligaments that maybe he wasn't going to get these. I mean, because it certainly looked like this guy has been built, he's been wrapped into a pretzel before and seemed to come out of it. So I bought a little bit into the hype that Mahomes maybe was the kind of guy that maybe could avoid these kind of injuries. Honestly, though, I mean, as far as the putting him in danger, I thought Mahomes was a lot more in danger last season than he was this year. But you never know. I mean, it's just one plant in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it can happen to anybody. We've seen that before. Matthews, I see the Jets fired a coach today. Can that message be related to one Arrowhead drive and clear out the coaching staff ASAP? When can we expect to see some changes in the coaching staff? Andy Reid's generally not a guy that's going to, make coaching changes during a season, even at the end of a season like this. So I think if he's going to be making any changes, he's going to wait until they get to the end of the year and evaluate things. So, and honestly, even when the Chiefs have made some changes in coaching staff the last few years, in the last 10 years, really, I mean, sometimes they're done pretty quietly, as far as just guys may get a new job and move on. That kind of happened with Sam Madison when he left. He just all of a sudden popped up, and I think he went to Miami, if I'm not mistaken. So he just got a new job and popped up somewhere. Now, when they cleaned out the staff a little bit after Bob Sutton, and the Bob Sutton letting him go was done fairly immediately. But honestly, I mean, the Chiefs usually don't announce their coaching staff in any changes like that until, I think it's usually like late March and early April. That might be different this year, just if there's a few more changes. But I also say, I mean, I don't think they're going to blow out the coaching staff. I mean, if there was more than one or two, coaches that moved on, I might be a little bit surprised. I do think that they need to reshuffle the coaching staff, because I think there's some players who are just, coaches that are miscast in their roles. And if that's the case, then you need, I don't think there's any reason to wait, but that's the way the Chiefs usually do it, is that once they got their coaching staff in place, they'll just announce what it is. And like I said, I mean, sometimes they haven't announced that until pretty late, and at least a little ways into the offseason, certainly after like the combine and beginning of the new league year, before the draft, though. The Joe coach make mistake allowing Mahomes play Chargers game without MRI. I mean, I assume you're talking about playing the game without an MRI before the game. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, we don't know for sure that they didn't do an MRI on Mahomes before the game. They could very well have, since it had been bothering him. It's entirely possible. So, sometimes the lack of information doesn't necessarily mean that there's no information. It just means that we don't know it. So that's certainly a question I'm happy to ask and poke around and see. I mean, I appreciate you bringing it up, Joe, but we don't know for sure. So they could have done an in-depth exam on him before the game, and everything came back clear. So. Infopocalypse, will KC address backup O-line depth, or do they really still think Caliendo and Godric are the answer in 26? When the Chiefs had Allegretti and Wiley, they could withstand an injury. Now it's a disaster. I mean, if you're looking at this offensive line for next year, I mean, Chiefs right now, their plan would be that it's going to be Josh Simmons on the left side, Jalen Moore on the right side. Pole would be your swing tackle. I mean, if Godric is on this team next year, I mean, he would be at best the fourth tackle. So that might be once again, practice squad type position. Chiefs have carried two backups before, and they did this season at times. So yeah, I mean, they could be that he'd be your number 4 tackle. Far as on the interior, I mean, yeah, Caliendo's been your number 3. If I'm not mistaken, I keep meaning to confirm that and look it up, because I believe that Mike Caliendo is going to be a restricted free agent, if I'm not mistaken, based on his experience. Let's see, what is he? Yeah, he's going to be a restricted free agent, so they'll have to offer a contract tender, which is the contract tender, minimum tender for a guy like that in year 4 is going to be probably 2.7 million-ish, maybe 2.8, could be higher than that, somewhere in that ballpark. I mean, Hunter Norzad's making a fraction of that. So, it's no guarantee that they're going to offer, Caliendo the minimum tender. Maybe they'll go into the season with Norzad and CJ Hansen as their top two backups in the interior. They may draft more players too. They may draft another tackle. They may draft another interior player. It's entirely possible. So I don't know that they're good. I mean, yes, Apocalypse, will they address O-line depth in some form? Yes, I do think that they will. And these next three games will help out a lot there. I mean, if Pole plays well enough to prove that he can handle the swing tackle job, well, then you've already addressed your depth there. If Godric proves that he can handle being your fourth O-line guy, then yeah, you've addressed that too. I expect that Norzad will probably get some playing time here in the next couple of games. Hopefully CJ Hansen does too, and you can kind of see where those two are at. I mean, the Chiefs are tight enough money-wise where, even saving, almost $2 million from Caliendo to Norzad would be worth saving the money. So, yeah, I think they will address it. Will they address it substantially, like free agent wise? Wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. If they committed some draft resources, that would not surprise me. I mean, you almost want to take offensive line, defensive line, somebody in that spot every single year, regardless. It's kind of like wide receiver. If you're the Chiefs, you're probably you should be drafting a wide receiver every single year. Perry, do you believe the Chiefs will change any of their offensive philosophy now that Pat will need to be protected? This is a good question. And I mean, I had a conversation today with Seren Petro, and I know there was a line of questioning a couple of weeks ago that the Chiefs need to change their scheme. I mean, you're only really changing your scheme if you're changing your coach. I mean, Andy Reid runs a West Coast offense. Now, does that mean that it's going to be the same batch of plays every single year? No. And did the Chiefs get a little bit too predictable this year? I would absolutely 100% would agree with that. So they need to freshen some things up. And I think it would be great if they had an outside voice in with some different ideas that came in some position, some role in this offense, whether it's a senior assistant, whether, it's an offensive line coach, a wide receivers coach. I mean, you can bring in some of these coaches and running backs coach. You can bring in some of these coaches and just shuffle the staff around. There's no reason you necessarily have to get rid of a Connor Embry if you think Connor Embry's a smart guy. He just might be a smart guy in the wrong role. Todd Pinkston might be a great wide receivers coach. He's just miscast as a running backs coach right now. I mean, I don't. If you're just talking about changing Andy Reid's philosophy, I mean, Andy Reid's not going to change. He's a West Coast guy. He's going to run a West Coast version of an offense, but that doesn't mean that he can't freshen things up. He's done it before, and he's in that spot again. I mean, and that's why I would be really interested to see if Andy Reid doesn't look and maybe see if there's some guys out there that can come in and help him pick up some things that maybe he doesn't have in his arsenal right now. Some guys who were, run some West Coast concepts that are just contrary to him. And let's face it. I mean, one significant way that could be is if Matt Nagy did leave, and I'm not going to advocate his firing. I don't think Matt Nagy's done anything to get fired. But if he got a head coaching job somewhere and that job becomes open, well, now you can bring in an offensive coordinator that does have some different experience. And if the OC job opens up again, I know that all the speculation is going to focus on trying to get Cliff Kingsbury. I actually think that wouldn't be a bad idea. It would make a lot of sense. He would have concepts and some different ideas than what Andy Reid has. So I think there's reasons to believe that you can freshen up what the Chiefs do without just throwing out the entire scheme. I mean, now there's aspects. I mean, when you talk about scheme too and philosophy, I do think that they need to change their blocking scheme and philosophy. That's something that definitely needs to be refreshed. And if Andy Heck can't do it, then you got to find somebody else who can, because right now, every defense knows the Chiefs blocking schemes. I mean, that's just abundantly clear from both a run game perspective and a pass protection perspective. Since the Super Bowl and what the Eagles did to them, It is well known, just what the Chiefs are doing, and they are way too predictable, and they got to mix it up. I mean, they need to reinvent themselves on the offensive line. They've got the talent. Now they need the production to equal the parts of that talent. Damian Pierce should play, so we see what he's got. And secondly, the best way to protect him is a balanced offense with an emphasis on running the ball. What say? Yeah. You got to run the football. Like I said, the only challenge with Damian Pierce is just going to be how much of the offense can he pick up that he's comfortable and the Chiefs are comfortable with him, and understanding the plays, understanding the blocking, all of these things. That's the only thing that really, has had the Chiefs leaning towards keeping him out and just kind of redshirting him these last few weeks, and then taking him into the offseason and next year and seeing what they've got. Maybe they need to do that now. I mean, if they're comfortable with putting him out there, I have no problems with it. It's just whether or not that they're going to be comfortable with him, and he's going to be comfortable running the offense. Gary, Niners have a wide receiver Chiefs should look at. Sky Moore, aka our positional coaching sucks. I'll be honest. I mean, I don't think it was anything to do with coaching. I mean, I think that Sky, he was a really good kid, and I think that just some of the mistakes that happened here got into his head, because that kid could make every play on the practice field, and then it would just get into a game, and it just looked like he was pressing so hard to prove himself. And I felt for the last couple of years there was nobody that needed a change of scenery more than Sky Moore. And I expected if he moved on somewhere like that he was going to be better. He just needed to get rid of some of the ghosts and some of the bad feelings and the vibes that he had going. I don't think it was entirely coaching. I think there was some, like I said, I'd say a psychological block, because we've seen it before. I mean, guys can just be in a bad situation in a bad place that's not perfect for them. And I do think that was another part of it too. I just don't think this was a great scheme for Sky Moore. I just don't think that he fit in real well. But I mean, the drops and all the issues that he never had any of those in the practice field. He only had them on the field during games. And I think that was just pressing too much. And now it looks like he's playing a lot more free. I think that's great. Red Devil Chief, how realistic is a Nathan Shieldhouse or Mike Kafka in 2026? Feels like now is the right time to move on from Matt Nagy. There's been some movement with the coaching staff. Like I said, I mean, unless Matt Nagy leaves on his own, I don't think Matt Nagy is leaving. Shieldhouse, he's a great Kansas City story, but gosh, I mean, he's getting college head coaching looks right now, right? Could end up working for him there. Did he end up getting a job yet, or is he still out there? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that he would still be a better college coach at this point. That's probably more what he's ready for. Coming back to Kansas City, I mean, I don't know if it would be a perfect fit, just running Andy Reid's offense for him. I don't know if it would be good for him professionally either. Now Mike Kafka coming back probably wouldn't be a bad idea, but again, I mean, if you're of the philosophy that the Chiefs need some fresh blood and a fresh voice, Mike Kafka's not that. He's going to be kind of a continuation of the same. I mean, honestly, I don't see a lot of difference coaching wise, style wise, between Mike Kafka and Matt Nagy. I mean, I think they're fairly comparable. So I don't think they're dissimilar enough that you're gonna see a significant difference between those two guys. I mean, Mike Kafka would be doubling down on more of the same, and maybe that works out, maybe it doesn't. But if you want fresh ideas and some fresh perspective for Andy Reid, I don't know if Kafka is the guy that's going to give that. Perry, how many coaches do you believe should be fired? Nagy, Tobe, Heck, Embry, Blameyer, and Pinkston should all be gone or on high alert. And I mean, I'm only hesitating here because, again, we had this conversation last week. I take firing and discussing firing coaches very seriously because it affects a lot of things. I mean, it affects people's lives, affects kids, and all these things. And I do treat it pretty seriously. I don't take it lightly. But when you get into it specifically, I mean, I, I the only coach that I think is on and should be on the hot seat is Andy Heck, because the Chiefs' offensive line had some problems last year, and those problems have not been fixed. And Andy Reid, mentioned back at the combine and said, "Hey, everybody that was a part of the Super Bowl and that loss has got to be accountable for that loss. And if you don't fix what was wrong in the Super Bowl, then there's going to be accountability." And that was for players and coaches as well. And I think that that's significantly true at the offensive line spot. I mean, and Andy Hick's a great guy, truly is. But I do think that the Chiefs just need a fresh voice there. So I wish him the best. I mean, and maybe he's a better fit in another place. Hopefully so. I mean, I think I like Andy Heck. Like I said, he's a good dude. So, but I do think that the Chiefs need to go a different direction there. I see no evidence that Connor Embree's a bad coach. I just think that this was a new position for him. Coaching wide receivers. I hear a lot of great things about about Connor Embry, that he's an up and coming guy. Maybe there's another job on this coaching staff. Joe Blameyer is pass game coordinator. Maybe Connor Embry could be your run game coordinator. You need somebody apparently to be in charge of that, because right now it does not look like the run game's got a lot of people in charge of it. I don't think Blameyer's not a problem. There's nothing that Joe Blameyer has done, I don't believe, to undermine this team or undermine this performance in his role. If anything, I mean, I think he's a positive. I think Embry can be a positive in the right spot. Once again, I mean, if Matt Nagy, if your issue, whatever your issue with the Chiefs is, I have a hard time in the Chiefs offense. I have a hard time blaming it on Matt Nagy, because I mean, once again, Andy Reid's in charge of the offense. So if you're not happy with the offense, it's Andy Reid's fault. Matt Nagy has responsibilities and he calls a game. But remember, I mean, there's nothing that Matt Nagy calls that has not been signed off on by Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it's a well-coordinated plan. So, there's nothing, there's no button that Matt Nagy's pushing that other people haven't signed off on. I mean, it's in the coaching that Matt Nagy does. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's the management of the team. And again, I don't necessarily see that there's anything that he has mismanaged the team with as far as the responsibility on the offensive side. And again, nobody on the team is complaining about Matt Nagy. Are there complaints about some other coaches? Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some feedback that would fit into my criticisms of Andy Heck. So that I can deal with. Dave Toub is a different matter. I mean, and Todd Pinkston, I mean, once again, I would say Todd Pinkston's miscast. I would love to see Todd Pinkston working with wide receivers. I think then the Chiefs need a full, a running backs coach with experience. So that's an easy fix right there to me. Just shuffling some coaches into some new spots and hiring a running backs coach. Dave Toub, I mean, Dave Toub's widely considered still one of the best special teams coaches out there. They've had some problems this year, granted. I'm not entirely sure that all of them are Dave Toub's fault. There's things that I don't know how he fixes. I mean, I don't know if there's any special teams coach that can properly probably manage Harrison Butker. Harrison Butker kind of manages it himself. So I think Dave Toub does about the best he possibly can. Dave Toub is still, by the way, I mean, it's just talking pluses and minuses. He's probably the best punter coach in the NFL. I mean, there's like 5-6 guys in the NFL who owe their punting career to Dave Toub. So, and some of them are the best punters in the league. I mean, Jack Fox and Tommy Townsend and Ryan Reckow. They're all over the place. There's guys I'm forgetting that have been coached by Dave Toub that are now punters for other teams. As far as the execution goes, I mean, they've had some letdowns, but again, I mean, Some of that I think is, having some young players. Some of that is maybe having some players having bad seasons. I mean, they had some penalties this year. Josh Williams has committed a lot of penalties, and Josh Williams isn't going to be on this team next year. I mean, that's kind of just the way that it is. Jack Cochran had some penalties. I don't know if he's going to be on the team next year. Um, Noah Williams has had some of those penalties. He's just the guy you're going to have to live with the penalties because he's physical as all get out. I mean, there might be some things that Dave Toub has done with this team, but I just don't think he's going anywhere. I mean, we've seen it before, that you need more than one bad season. And, honestly, last year was not a bad season for Dave Toub. So, and a couple of years ago he had a bad season. That was also because he lost like 80% of his snaps off special teams. So, and I'm not trying to be a Dave Toub defender here or anything like this. I'm just saying I see no evidence whatsoever that Andy Reid's ready to move on from Dave Toub. So I think you probably just prepare yourself that Dave Toub's not going anywhere and that Andy Reid's got a lot of trust in him. Infopocalypse. I've mainly seen Knowles play special teams. Is he better outside or in the slot? I mean, at this point in Apocalypse, from what we've seen, the Chiefs seem to think that he's better in the slot. So that's something I do want to ask Steve Spagnuolo this week, is really specifically how they view Kevin Knowles, because it does seem like that when he's been getting in there, they did play him a little bit in the slot. Especially when Jalen Watson was out for a little bit and he came in, he was in the slot, and they had Noel Williams and Christian Fulton on the outside. So that seems to be a spot where they like him. Let's see what happens. But I pay attention on Thursday, because I do plan on asking Steve Spagnuolo about Kevin Knowles and kind of what they do think about him as a corner, where they think like he fits best. Alex, do you get the feeling Tyreek Hill and Mahomes will do some rehab together and Hill will return for Kelsey's final year? I do. Tyreek with that injury, wow. I mean, I know it was earlier and everything. I'll be really impressed if Tyreek is even ready for the beginning of the year. That was a really bad injury, and I mean, it might be 12 months plus on him. I mean, I hope everything goes well. I haven't been keeping up in it, so I don't know where he is update wise and everything. And there's also, I mean, as severe as that injury was and as nasty as that injury was, I don't know if Tyreek's going to come back the same guy. But I get the feeling that the Chiefs have kind of moved on Tyreek, and and you've seen it. I mean, there's been some noise in Miami with Tyreek. Some deserve, some not, but I think the Chiefs are kind of happy not to have the noise anymore. And not to mention, Tyreek is still a highly paid player. They really don't have the money for a guy like Tyreek. So I think for a lot of reasons, I would be very surprised if there was ever a Chiefs and Tyreek Hill reunion. Not that there's necessarily any hard feelings or bitterness or anything. I mean, Tyreek did have his ever adapting story on his departure from the Chiefs, but I never got any sense that the Chiefs were annoyed by that or anything. But I think that, again, I think they're happy not to have the drama, and there's still been some Tyreek Hill drama in Miami that I think they're just periodically have been like glad that's not going on in Kansas City anymore. So MCell, did the offense look different this season from some of the concepts you saw in training camp? I feel a lot of creativity has disappeared over the last couple of years. It's a great question, because I feel like that there has been a difference between what this team looked like in training camp and what we've seen during the season. And some of that, I mean, is to be expected. You can do things in camp, especially when you're not in pads. You can do things that you can't do in the regular season. And, the timing of the offense certainly looked a lot different in training camp. It certainly seemed like that the deep ball was going to be more effective in training camp than it was during the season. Now, how much of that was thrown off by the fact that, second play of the season, Xavier Worthy gets hurt and has never been 100% since, and just maybe is not running at the same speed and doing the same things he was doing in training camp because he's just not comfortable and he's been dinged up the entire year. that can affect things. Honestly, I mean, and I look at the Chargers game, but I know there's been a few other games too where teams have, taken advantage of the Chiefs a little bit in the way that they play the deep ball. And there's been some pass interference plays that the Chiefs have had calls go against them that, and they had two. I mean, those were two definitely pass interference calls against the Chargers that just did not get called. Chiefs seem to have been on the kind of bad end of that a little bit this year, that teams have been able to play a little more physical with them. Has the fact that, Mahomes been dinged up, has that affected the timing of the deep ball a little bit? Maybe. Has the fact that, really Tyquan Thornton was the only deep threat that they had a lot of the season. The connection rate between Mahomes and Worthy was not there. And that was something that we saw in training camp. Brashard Smith is another piece of it, because Brashard Smith, watching training camp, I would have, and I did. I believe truly that Brashard Smith was going to end up with at least like 400 yards of offense, because the Chiefs were putting him everywhere. I mean, they were splitting him out wide. They were putting him everywhere. They were running him out of the backfield. I mean, they did everything with this kid, and they have done almost none of it during the regular season. I kept waiting for them to whip out the Brashard Smith playbook, and it just never happened. And I'm surprised by that. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was just what happened in Brazil and losing Xavier Worthy and not having Rashif Rice for the first 6 weeks that just completely and totally snapped this team's mojo. But this offense versus what we saw in training camp, it almost looks like just two different critters. I mean, it's just baffling to me, because I don't feel like this was the same team that we saw in St. Joe offensively. I don't get it. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was a series of things. I don't know if it's just, diluted by what can happen in training camp when things are built to make the ones look good. But even when the Chiefs ones were going against each other, offense had plenty of wins. So I don't know. I mean, the defense looked good. So maybe that's what should have been the lesson from training camp, was that maybe the defense was definitely going to be better than the offense, and maybe the offense was not as good as we thought. But there was a lot of things that this team did successfully in training camp that we just haven't seen during the regular season, and I've been surprised by it. The Joe, if Nagy moves on from the Chiefs, can the Chiefs hire a top OC coach with Reid making all calls on offense? I mean, that is a great question about, are there going to be some coaches, OCs, that wouldn't want to come to Kansas City because, Andy Reid's going to have full control? That's possible. But again, I think if Nagy moves on, to me, that's an opportunity to fill that position with a fresh voice. And so that's why, even if it's not an elite name, even if it's not a Cliff Kingsbury or John Gruden, I see Weston wants to get John Gruden. If it's not a big name like that, as long as it's somebody outside the Andy Reid tree, then I think it's a move in the right direction. So I don't necessarily think it has to be a, superstar on the rise or a veteran legend offensive coordinator. I think it just needs to be somebody with some fresh takes and fresh ideas, even if it's somebody from a different branch of the West Coast offense or somebody with a different theory altogether. I think that would help Andy Reid. I mean, like I said, he's reinvented himself before when he's had the right input, and I think he just needs the right input. Mr. Visionary, do you think Nagy is here next year? I would say I'm probably about 70-30, and I think 70% he's here and 30% he's a head coach. I mean, I think those are the only two options. I don't think he's getting fired. So I think he's either here as the OC or he's a head coach for another franchise. Carol, is there any guarantee they'll make the right decisions this offense? They've been saying all season long, we know what we got to fix. We got to fix this, that, but nothing ever changes. And I go back on this one, Carol, I go back to last year, because last year was pushed all the chips all in on the three-peat. And when you did that, you kind of connected yourself with some players. You kind of committed yourself to 25 for some players, going all in like that. And you kind of probably limited a little bit of your youth and a little bit of your development. And with that, you also kind of, ate into your salary cap a little bit. And the Chiefs did that too in the offseason with getting some of their long-term deals done, getting the deal done with Creed and getting Korloftis done. I mean, you kind of set yourself on a direction. And so, I mean, this season, yeah, I mean, they knew that they had deficiencies at running back, at defensive end, at defensive tackle, at cornerback, where they wanted depth or upgrades at all of those spots. But, look at it at the end of the day, and I'm pulling it up here just off the top, because I don't remember off the top of my head. Usually I do, but looking at the Chiefs cap space right now, which I know is terrible, the Chiefs have $1.9 million in cap space. So there's $1.9 million that they had available this year to fix running back, defensive tackle, defensive end, and corner. $1.9 billion is barely enough money for one player at one of those positions. And that's it, just one player. And even then, it's not going to be an elite free agent. I mean, this is going to be somebody that's more or less off the street. Maybe if you put some draft resources into it, maybe you could get a guy that's on a rookie deal, but then again, that's somebody that you're not drafting in the future. So yeah, I mean, that was the challenge that the Chiefs had, was that I think I felt like, from talking to people in the organization, the front office knew certainly what some of their issues were going to be this year, and they just didn't have the resources to fix them. And I don't know that trading Breece Hall at midseason, I don't know if that would have been enough. I don't think that would have moved the needle. And I think that's eventually why Brett Veach probably didn't pull the trigger on that. He just knew that it wasn't going to move the needle for this year. And, and now it's more about 2026 than 2025. So and they're going to have some of the same issues. There's no doubt they're going to have some of the same issues this year, because they're going to continue to be limited in cap space. But I think you should feel comforted by the fact that I think that the Chiefs do know what they need to fix, that there's a commitment there to wanting to fix it. You're right. I mean, they've got to make the right decisions now. So are they going to make those right decisions? I mean, at this point, you can only just sit back and watch and hope for the best. But I do. I mean, I would still trust Brett Veach. I would still trust his staff. I think that they've got a good approach and a good mindset. They just don't always have the resources to be able to accomplish what they want to do. We're going to see if they've got the resources to accomplish what they want to do this offseason. Weston, do you think there's anybody getting traded from this roster for draft capital, i.e. McDuffie? I think McDuffie is your one best shot. And that's the guy that I think could generate the most. I mean, if you're talking about like trade cap, signed and trade type deals, a little bit like what the Jets did with Gardner. I mean, are you trading George Karlaftis? Are you trading Trey Smith? I don't think so. Where else is the value? I mean, there'd probably be some teams that might be interested in one of your safeties, but then again, Brian Cook's going to be a free agent. So, I mean, Jamari Connor, Jaden Hicks, Chris Rowan Wallace, I mean, those might be your three guys next year. So if you don't bring back Brian Cook. So don't know if there's a lot of value there. The Chiefs aren't not getting rid of Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton is, I don't think, I still don't, I know there's people who do not like the Nick Bolton deal. And I think you just don't realize how much Nick Bolton does on this defense and how much he does for this team. I still think he's paid appropriately. I will not say he's underpaid, but I'm going to say I think he's paid appropriately. I have a hard time thinking about anybody else, Weston, that really stands out as somebody that would be of trade value. Now, the one guy that would fit into that would be Rashee Rice. I'm not sure that there's a huge market for Rashee Rice, because I'm sure that there are some teams that have their red flag concerns. There are some teams that would not even talk to you about Rashee Rice. If you're the Chiefs, do you want to trade Rashee Rice? I don't know. But that's probably one of the only other players that you've got that would, I think, draw some interest from some other teams. Once again, like I said, limited market, so might not get as much as you think. You're certainly not getting a first round pick for Rashee Rice, but that might be the one that I would think about. Jimmy's, did I miss you and Nick at 1 a.m. after the game? No, you did not miss us. We were not joining Aaron Rodgers in the darkness retreat, but yeah, for anybody who missed at the top of the show, Nick has had a death in the family. His father passed away, and just ask you all to keep Nick in your thoughts and prayers and his family as they're going through a very difficult time. Nick's going to be back. We'll be back on 41 is the mic after the first of the year. So just hang tight, and you'll get all the Nick that you can handle when he's ready to come back. But I'm not going to be doing 41 is the mic without Nick. You will see some things here on Chiefs Digest, and maybe we'll be able to do something post game. I don't know, but keep an eye out as always for us over here on Chiefs Digest, and just know that Nick is doing well, his family's doing well, considering everything all considered. But we'll see him back after the first of the year, and we're going to give him the time to deal with everything that he needs to with his family right now. Matthew, with this being the one time the Chiefs are picking this high while Mahomes is the quarterback, would you draft Carnell Tate? And this is where you all are going to start testing my draft knowledge and college football knowledge when I have not been paying any attention to some of this. I mean, I know some names and everything, and looking, I mean, at first glance, I would probably say a pass, but that's just first pass. Haven't looked at any film, anything like that. I mean, hey, the Chiefs are drafting 12. I mean, and once again, it's going to just depend on how the class looks and how everything falls. I expect, like, I know that Jeremiah Love's name is going to come up, even from people who would say that they would never want the Chiefs to draft a running back in the first round. But oh my goodness, are we gonna? Oh, okay. Raider gets the first pick, drafts Mendoza. Moore doesn't declare, so there's no need for quarterback at 2. Chiefs trade up to the Giants to get Reuben Bain, give up 26 first, McDuffie, and 27 second. Man, you guys are already, you're definitely doing it to me already. And I mean, Nick's my draft expert. I can't do anything without Nick. And I'll be honest. I mean, for the most part, if it's not a Missouri Tiger, maybe a Kansas Jayhawk or a Wildcat, but definitely a Tiger. I probably don't know that much. Okay. I mean, you're in the right ballpark here. I don't know. I would have to. His numbers don't blow me away, but that's just looking at numbers, not looking at film, anything like that. So, but you're in the right ballpark. I mean, you're drafting early in the first round. I mean, generally you're looking at tackles, offensive tackles, defensive end, defensive tackle, maybe an elite corner, maybe an elite wide receiver, maybe Jamar Gibbs. If you believe that Jeremiah Love is Jahmyr Gibbs, then yeah, you're taking Jeremiah Love. But I don't know. I haven't seen it. I'm going to have to watch more film. I'm going to have to check it all out. I'm going to have I'm going to have like 5 more weeks to be able to do that this year than usual. So I guess I'll be 5 weeks smarter than I usually am this year. But you're not going to get, I apologize. You're just not going to get a very intelligent draft answer out of me for the near future, but I will start working on it very, very soon. Jason, has anyone even considered that maybe, just maybe, Pat's play has contributed to disappointment this season? I know you're not allowed to say that in KC, especially KC media. I mean, you can say it. I mean, and I'll admit, I mean, I this has not been Patrick's best season, and I can't quite place a finger on it. I mean, I do think that there's been some moments that he's made some decisions and done some things that we just haven't seen him do typically in the past. And I don't know if was just maybe having a feeling how this thing was going more before the rest of us did, or once things kind of got behind the 8 ball early in the season, he just started pressing. I don't know, but outside of maybe 1 or 2 games, I mean, no, Jason, this has not been Patrick's best season, and he owns a piece of it. I mean, is it all his fault? No, I don't. I don't think that all of this is any one person's fault. I mean, this offense, it's a collective team effort. I mean, I think it's everybody owns a piece of it, and Patrick does. Patrick's not. I mean, to me, he's not blameless in all of this, and so I don't think there's anything wrong saying that. And I mean, I feel like there've been a few people have been saying it. I mean, I probably haven't said it a ton, because I do think that there's been other issues that have been bigger than that. But no, I don't have any problem with anybody saying that. I think it's legitimate. I mean, and certainly you look at the numbers and you will definitely say that this has not been Patrick's best season. And I don't think it's entirely everybody else's fault. I mean, he owns a chunk of that. I mean, he has made some decisions this year that are uncharacteristic and decisions that I just haven't seen him make before. So yeah, I do think that he owns a little bit of that. And what led to that? I don't know. That's what Andy Reid's got to figure out in the offseason and figure out how to fix it. And maybe the time off with Mahomes with the injury, maybe it will give him time to work on some things and reflect on things, and maybe he's going to come back a different player. I don't know, but no one is blameless in this offense. Everybody owns a piece of it, including Mahomes. Perry, I would trade Trent for a first and third, with the first being next year, so you can package your 2 firsts next year for Jeremiah Smith, so Pat can have a true number 1. I mean, I'm going to burst your bubble here a little bit, Perry, by telling you I don't think you can get that much for Trent McDuffie. I mean, I know Sauce got traded for the 2-1s. And that's because the Jets ate a lot of money. That's a pretty affordable contract that they moved because they just signed him and they had to eat some dead money to make that work. So Chiefs aren't going to be in that spot. They can't do like a sign and trade and eat a bunch of money to, make Trent McDuffie more valuable to another team. Here's the other thing, is that Trent McDuffie has not had a good year. This has been the year that, as a Chiefs fan, you did not want Trent McDuffie to have, especially if you wanted to consider trading him this offseason. He has not had a good year. This year has emphasized that he is a very, very good slot corner, maybe the best slot corner in the league, but that he has weaknesses on the outside. He got beat, and unfortunately, I mean, believe it or not, marquee games do make a difference because everybody sees them in the NFL. And when you have one of your worst games of the season, and maybe the worst game of Trent McDuffie's career, when you have that on Thanksgiving against the Cowboys, everybody in the NFL saw it. So there's not a GM in the league that didn't see that. I mean, they're going to see all the film. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, they're all going to break down everything. But games like that can make an impact on a player's reputation. And I think that this season is going to have a hit on Trent's reputation. There's a lot of great things about Trent McDuffie. There's things that you can't change. Can't change that he's 5'11". You can't change that he struggles against bigger receivers, especially downfield. That's just been a reality since year one. And this year, with the Chiefs, having some weaknesses at corner, and Trent has had to sometimes, especially in some games that they've had, like the Dallas game, where you're going up against a team that's got a couple of big receivers, they couldn't avoid it. They couldn't avoid matching him up with some of these big guys. Same thing, Philadelphia was another one. The Texans was another one. I mean, they had some games that, McDuffie had to match up against bigger receivers, and he struggled this year. So that's going to be tough. And you look back at corners and the return that you get, and honestly, I mean, Sauce's return is extraordinary. I mean, that's an outlier. So you can't really match that. From people I've talked around with, I mean, I think if you could get a second plus something like maybe even a high day 3 pick, that might be the ceiling for what you could get for Trent McDuffie. Now, I mean, that's not inconsiderable, but it's not. Is it what you want? No, but if you can't trade, if you can't afford to sign Trent McDuffie, and you got to trade him, people are going to know that. And I mean, you can let him play it out. You can let him play it out, and you can let him either test free agency after the 5th-year option this year. You can tag him, although the tag would be a lot of money. I mean, it's going to be a lot of money, but you could at least keep him for 2 more years if you can afford it. But at that point, he's going to have almost no trade value, and all you're going to get from Trent McDuffie, the value for him is going to be a comp 3rd round pick. So a second and a 4th, I think would actually be about the best value you could get. And it's not ideal, but it's kind of just the reality. I mean, if the Chiefs were able to get a 1 for Trent McDuffie, I would salute Brett Veach. That is a great trade. I just don't think that you're getting a 1 and a 3. So, and yeah, so I don't know if I can endorse that for you, Perry, because I just don't know you're going to get the return that you want. I have done a terrible job once again of not wandering during my answers. So this lightning round edition I've once again failed Nick. Jimmy says, I feel like these Mahomes training camps for receivers was a lot to do about nothing to you. Seems to have been counterproductive to the common good. Never once made a difference. I don't know. I mean, it couldn't have hurt, Jimmy's. I mean, it had to have some value. I mean, I guess here's the thing is that it could have been worse without those camps. It could have been a lot worse. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, the Chiefs probably have to rethink a lot of things that they've been doing, and one obviously has been because of the deep runs that they've had. They've been doing phase 1 virtually, not having the players come to Kansas City in mid-April. That's what allowed them to do these camps. I'd imagine since Mahomes is going to be injured, there's really not a reason for them to do things virtually in phase 1. And I'm guessing that Andy Reid may, and since they don't have a playoff run this year, that Andy may go ahead and go back to having everybody come into Kansas City in mid-April for OTAs. That would probably be a change. But honestly, Jimmy, I mean, I come back to, a couple of things about this. And that one is that I think these receivers that you have, I don't think that timing is just getting that down. I don't think timing is the issues that these receivers have. Some of it's just getting open, and some of it's just running their routes and establishing ground and all of these things. I mean, uh, I don't think there's anything that you can do in April that is going to help these guys. I mean, because that's not what they're doing at those camps. They're catching the ball, and if they're catching the ball at those camps, then it's telling me that they can catch Mahomes passes. So I don't know why they're dropping them. That's an issue. That's a concern. But 2, I think we've discovered. I mean, that the Chiefs, either they're not getting the most out of these receivers, or they've just misjudged what these receivers are and what they have. Is Hollywood Brown the same guy that he was 3, 4, 5 years ago? Maybe not. Juju's not the same guy. I mean, bless his heart, he's those knees of his are 90. I mean, I salute Juju Smith-Schuster because he is squeezing every little bit of ounce of talent and production that he has got. And I mean, it's impressive because I know those knees are not helping him. They're not in great shape, but the Chiefs and he have been figuring out a way to, squeeze every little bit of football that he still has in him. I don't know. I don't think the camp's been a detriment, but again, I don't think catching the football has been the issue. I mean, I think that it's the ability of these receivers to do other things. It's, you're not going to learn. Those camps are not about. They're about timing and catching the football, catching passes from Mahomes and judging the speed and all those things. That's not. I mean, other than the drops, that's not what this team has problems with. This team has problems with running routes, with getting separation, with extending plays. I mean, there's other things, and And some of it, I'll stick with what I have said many, many times before, which is that in today's NFL, with as little time as NFL coaches get with players anymore, they're spending their entire time installing offenses and defenses and doing film work. They're doing all of those things. NFL coaches don't have time to teach you to be an NFL player, and they don't have time to give you skills. You got to go do that on your own. You got to go get a coach. You got to go work out with people who are better than you. You got to be going to the tight end universities and the Duke Manyweather facilities, and you need to be working with pro trainers, best wide receivers coaches, best O-line coaches, safety coaches, DB coaches, whatever it may be, whatever your position is. You need to find the best trainers and the best coaches and work out February through June, because that's the only time you're going to get better. NFL coaches don't have time to make you better. They barely have time to teach you the offense and the defense and make sure you can handle that. If you're going to get better, it's on you. And you got to do that in your off season. If you don't do it, you're not going to get any better. And if you don't get any better, you're not going to make any more money, and probably not going to be in the league very long. But you're certainly not going to get any better hanging out with your college teammates and going back to your college facility. That's not going to do it. And working out at your local gym, not going to do it. You got to go find the best and go work with the best. And that's what the guys that I've seen. I mean, Tyreek Hill worked with Keith Williams every year, and Keith Williams taught him skills. Keith Williams taught him how to maintain his speed through his turns, which made him even faster out there on the field. I mean, taught him how to run routes correctly. So it wasn't just speed only, taught him how to actually run routes. I mean, Tyreek Hill worked harder in the offseason during his time in Kansas City than anybody I've ever seen. So, I mean, that's just an example of it. I mean, Tyreek Hill did not get where he was just because he was fast and skilled. He got where he was because he worked his butt off. And that's what you got to do. And I know that there are too many guys on this team, unfortunately, that don't put in the time in the offseason. And that's true on every team. It's true on every team. There are guys that don't do that. But those guys who don't do that also aren't going to get ahead. And if you want to win Super Bowls, I mean, that's what you got to do. You got to work in the offseason. So that's my rant. Brian, trading Karlaftis or Jones would make the main problem much worse, wouldn't it? I mean, trading, they would create two different problems, with each of those guys, Brian. Trading Karlaftis, I think it does hurt you because honestly, George Karlaftis right now is your best pass rusher on the outside. So unless you got a plan for replacing him, and I mean, Ashton Gelati is, was drafted to either be a George Karlaftis replacement or a complement. So you're either, he's either the next George Karlaftis or he's, now you got two of them on the field together. But trading George Karlaftis, just because you just got the deal with him done, you would have to eat some money. Walking away from Chris Jones, trading him or releasing him, it would, depending on, how you time it, it's still going to create a huge cap hit for you. Cap hit decision would be how much of it is in 26 and how much of it's in 27. But, Chris Jones costs more to trade or release than to keep. So, that's why, I mean, I don't know that either one of them are going anywhere. And honestly, my 2 cents, and doesn't mean anything because I'm just, writer over here. If I were Chris Jones, I would do what Travis Kelce did last offseason, is just totally reinvent yourself. Reinvent how you handle the offseason. Get yourself in the quote unquote best shape of your life. I say that facetiously just because we hear that every year at training camp. There's 15 guys who are in the best shape of their lives, and inevitably 14 of them, go nowhere and are not in the best shape of their lives. But that's what I mean. I think Chris needs to reinvent himself. He needs to make sure that he is battling the monster of time. And the only way you can do that is to work harder. I mean, in his case, Chris's case, maybe it's going to mean, dropping a couple of more pounds. Maybe it's going to be getting a little bit stronger. Maybe it's going to mean trying to build his stamina. I mean, there's a couple of different things, different directions you can go. But I mean, Chris Jones is strong, but I mean, it's that's just one of those things that you got to continue to do. If you want to beat Father Time, you're going to have to do some work, and that's what Travis tried to do this year, and I think it worked by and large. I mean, I still think that Chiefs ended up having to play him a little bit more than they wanted to, and I think fatigue leads to errors, and errors turn into the drops and turnovers. So I think there's a correlation there. I still would love to see Travis Kelce playing less snaps. Maybe that's entirely what's going to happen to Chris Jones. Maybe it's going to be fewer snaps turned into more efficient production. But um, I think it would help if he just, like I said, if he dedicated himself to a new regimen to this offseason with the design of trying to build him up differently and just accounting for the fact that he's not 25 anymore. I think that would be in his best interest, but your mileage may vary. Doctor Who, I still think the Chiefs will make the Super Bowl this year. I had a dream about it. I mean, several of them might attend the Super Bowl, Doctor Who. You never know. I mean, they're going to have some time, so they may be there. Rick, can I just repeat everything I just said? About I think the most important thing I could say is that I do have a Gatorade here, but it does not have any sucrose in it, so sucralose in it. So you're okay there. Oh, Brian, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm glad that you're doing well. I'm glad that you're getting ready to get out of the hospital. Thoughts and prayers with you, my friend. We need you, man. So I'm glad to hear that you are up and about and hanging in there. You've definitely got. Hopefully, I think you've got everybody here rooting for you, Brian. So take care, get better, and we will see you when you get home. But glad to know you're doing better, man. Hang in there. Jimmy's, have you watched the game this year, Matt? Oh my God, they're dropping like flies. You're getting hurt if you don't play to win. Wash is absolutely zero around here. Rings completely hollow. Sorry. Not entirely what I meant to say there, Jimmy's. And I know, I think you're posting like crazy at the end. I see that now. I should probably go down and see what kind of trouble you're causing. I say that lovingly. Oh man, yeah. Jimmy's, you're on fire. Okay, I'm going to deal with that later. I'm going to try and right now I'm going to try and catch up and get back to lightning round. I'm trying to focus here, trying not to wander. Let's see what we got next with questions. Luttrell, is Veach basically doing Andy's bidding in the front office, kind of like how Nagy does on offense? I definitely don't get that sense, Luttrell. I mean, I think Veach is his own GM. I think he does, what he thinks is best. Does he consult with Andy and Nagy and Spags about the players that they want and what they need? Yeah, but I don't think there's any doing the bidding, because I think at this point Andy is more than happy to defer a lot of the personnel decisions to Veach. I mean, how does it work? Veach and his staff will go out and they'll put together the players, and they'll pick out the ones that they think are the best, and then they'll give the coaches tape and say, hey, look at these 12 guys here or these 14 guys here and tell us what you think, and then they'll weigh in. So I mean, it's not like Andy Reid saying, hey, Brett, go get me this guy or go get me that guy. More likely might be Andy might say, hey, go get me a wide receiver that can do this. Your mileage may vary on whether or not he's able to do that, but I don't. This isn't Andy Reid in 2010 in Philadelphia, making all the decisions and pouring through the college tapes and everything like this. This is Brett Veach and his staff. They put it together. They put together the list of the players that they think will fit with this team, and then they take it to the coaches, and then coaches give their input, and then Brett Veach goes out and takes that and goes out and gets a team. So the coaches will absolutely weigh in on it. But no, I don't. I thought when, and I was probably, and I feel like in some ways I felt this way because I was still a young reporter, more or less, on this beat, an inexperienced reporter when Brett Veach. I mean, I was only a year into the beat writing position when Brett Veach took over. I was only here for less than a year of the John Dorsey era. So, I mean, that was one of the questions I asked Andy Reid was, hey, should anyone be concerned that Brett Veach is just going to be a yes man, that he's just there to, you're close enough to him that there's not going to be any true separation between GM and coach, and that he's just going to do your bidding. And Andy Reid said no, and I think it's proven to be true. I mean, Andy Reid doesn't have the time nor the inclination to get into the weeds on being GM. So he trusts Nagy to go out and get the players that he needs. Jimmy's, can we get rid of the ridiculous hand signal that Mahomes has, please? Looks like he's summoning a servant or something. It's annoying and childish. Man, Jimmy's, you got some complaints tonight, brother. I mean, I think it's just I don't think I wouldn't call it a nervous condition. It's just his hurry up and get the play to me. I'm ready to move on. So, man, Jimmy's, you've got some complaints tonight. I'm saying. Infopocalypse, in my opinion, Kelsey should retire, but stay in shape and unretire in time for playoffs if Mahomes come back. And Casey looks like it will make the playoffs. We've seen other players do this. What's your thought? I half jokingly mentioned this last year and said that if I'm Andy Reid and Kelsey was thinking about retirement a year ago, I'd say, hey, tell you what, Travis, go do your thing. I don't need to see you until July. I don't need to see you in OTAs, anything like that. Call me in July and see how you're feeling. And if you want to come in, great. And if not, and you want to come in October, great. That's fine. Let's just see what happens. I honestly wouldn't bother me. But I think there's a reason to believe that. I don't know if that would work great. I mean, that being said, even though I was half joking about that last year and I was half serious, I think you probably really need to be around the entire year. I just think that the Chiefs should play Travis Kelce less. I mean, I just don't think he needs to be playing as much. I mean, especially if you want to have him as a big time player in the playoffs. Don't think he needs to be playing even 60 to 70%. Bring him down to 40 or 50% of the snaps. Now, you got to have some other tight ends who can play, and not entirely sure that the Chiefs have proven that they've got that yet, but we need to see some young guys. We need to see Jared Wiley. I need to double check. I believe Jake Briningstool was one of the designated to returns at the beginning of the season. I think it was him and Nazi, and Chiefs aren't acting like Nazi's coming back at any point this year, which I was kind of surprised about. But hey, if I wouldn't. We have seen people do that, and I just feel like in some ways it cheapens the player and cheapens their experience. I don't want to see Travis Kelce make a teary retirement in March and then come back in October. When Travis retires, I kind of want him to retire and go his own way. I don't want there to be the cheesy comebacks. He's a Hall of Famer, and it's not a borderline Hall of Famer. It's not like, Phillip Rivers, borderline Hall of Famer. Travis Kelce's a first-time ballot Hall of Famer. I don't want to see him. Like I said, I think it would be a cheesy way to retire and come back. When he retires, I want him to stay retired. Maybe that's just me. Jesus, I actually saw it. I saw you, Jesus. I saw it. The super chat, thoughts and prayers for Nick. When Josh Allen rushes as Superman, but when Mahomes rushes the season, he was risky or getting hurt based on commentators. First of all, Jesus, thank you so much for the kind words for Nick. I know everybody's thinking of him, and I appreciate that. I think I see where you're coming from there, Jesus. And sorry, I was probably misunderstanding it a little bit, but I think I'm catching on to you. Yeah, and some of that I think is a little bit just based on how big Josh Allen is. He can take a punishment, and Patrick can too. He's just not as big as Josh. So, yeah, I think that and people and commentators are going to say that about Josh Allen until they don't, which is going to be when he inevitably gets his knee injury too. I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, happens to almost everybody who plays long enough. I mean, especially, you play at an elite level, you play a lot of football, eventually you're going to get God. So, yes, Josh Allen is Superman and it's fine, but Mahomes is taking a risk when he runs. I I see where you're coming from and everything on that. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, commentators going to say it about Josh Allen until they're not saying it anymore after he takes his hit that gets him an injury. And at the way that and the volume at which he runs, I mean, it's probably inevitably going to happen one day. I mean, it's just sad part of football that if you play that style, eventually it's a game where you're going to get hurt. I mean, that's just football, unfortunately. So yeah, I've noticed that too, and I mean, Mahomes finally got hurt, so I guess the commentators can feel that they're right, but I don't think there's any difference between the two. I mean, other than if you want to just say that the size is a difference because Josh can take a little bit more of a pounding, but I don't think that's true on the knees. I think that's more about the upper body more than anything else. I don't know if it's true on knees, but maybe it is. But I think that's where a lot of that comes from, Jesus. But I got you. I get what you're coming from there. It's kind of a interesting double standard. All right, let's see. Jason, that's nuts. Matt, he won 3 Super Bowls. Why go through a rebuild or a partial rebuild? Plus, Mahomes' best years are probably behind him. I mean, I suppose you could probably say that. I mean, got 3 Super Bowls and some MVP awards behind him, but dude's 30. I mean, he could still. I mean, looking at other players, I mean, Tom Brady had some of his best years after this point. I mean, plenty of ones a lot of Super Bowls after this point. I still think there's plenty of juice in Mahomes. I'm not let me put it this way. I don't think his prime is over yet. And by his prime, I'm just simply talking about his ability to win Super Bowls, win games. I think the game has changed a little bit, and that's one of the things that, Mahomes may never put up the numbers again that he put up in 2018 and 2022. Might not happen again, but he can still win games and still win Super Bowls, and I would bet on that. So I would never just wave the white flag any year that Mahomes is healthy and playing. And if he's healthy and playing next year, you got to try and win. To me, that's my opinion. Man, Jimmy's. I don't know what you're doing, man. It's okay. Everybody can have a meltdown. This might be the Jimmy's Tuesday night meltdown. Yeah, no, I mean, you can. I don't. Like I said, I don't even think this team needs a rebuild. I think it just needs to reload in a couple of places. I think and I know that this team feels like it's not that far. This team does not feel like it needs a 2-year rebuild. It doesn't even. This team doesn't feel like it's got a 1-year rebuild. This organization, from the coaching staff to the front office, they feel like that they are Super Bowl contenders next year. I can tell you that. Oh, well, Jimmy's. I am going through all your comments, and I am looking for any questions that are doable. Right now, I'm seeing a lot of list of complaints more than questions, and I mean, no, I mean you're. There's no doubt. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt when we're talking about. Everybody has a piece of this. Brett Veach has a piece of it too. He's made some mistakes and made some miscalculations, and some of them have cost him some draft picks, and some have cost him some capital. So I don't think that I don't think he gets off scot-free either. And Christian Fulton is going to be one of those things that we're going to talk about this offseason about, what was the thought process there and why it did not work out. Like I was saying, Jackson, I mean, I think a second plus, and in that case, like I said, let's call it a fourth. I mean, a second and a fourth, I think would be pretty good return for McDuffie. I don't think you can get a first. I mean, you probably could have got a first last off season, but right now, teams picking him up. You got a 5th-year option and then franchise tag. So it's not as much of team control. It is a really cheap, 5th-year option. So that's nice. Not a lot of debt. There's no dead money or anything like that you have to account for, but you're going to have to acquire him and trade and sign him. So that's always a discount right there that, teams going to have to, if they're going to pay for him, they don't want to necessarily give up a lot of capital. And you go back and you look at the trade return. I mean, that's why you got a 3rd round for L'Jarius Sneed. I mean, and remember, I mean, L'Jarius, that was a pretty good return on L'Jarius too, because he had the knee issue that was out there. He was a little bit older. Great thing about McDuffie is that actually he's still fairly young. I mean, a team could trade him, sign him to a long-term deal, and still get all of his years under 30. So that would be, for a signing team, that'd be great. But it still just means that, you're acquiring a player that you got to give a lot of money for. It's not like, I was talking about with Sauce Gardner, where, the Jets ended up eating a lot of that money because they just literally signed the dude. So they're eating that signing bonus and they're eating some other money in too that they've already paid him. It's a little bit different. And, and you look at what, corners bring in a trade market, they just don't bring you back as much as edge rushers and left tackles and quarterbacks, so 2nd and a 4th to me, I think would be a really good return. And I'm not even sure the Chiefs could get that. I don't think they can get a 1st at all. Not unless they were to send something back. And I mean, that might be like McDuffie and a 4th in return for a 1st, maybe McDuffie and a 3rd. I don't know. But I don't think that the market, just based on what McDuffie has left on his contract, what he's going to demand on the market, what a team's going to have to pay, all of that, I think that's just going to diminish his value. And like I said, he's coming off for him, a bad year. It's not a terrible year. I mean, it's not, but was he one of the top 5 corners in the league this year? I don't think I can make that case. So, and if he is truly, and teams view him as a slot corner, slot corners are not as valuable as outside corners. So that's going to diminish his value a little bit too. Oh, Jimmy's. I almost feel like I need to do just a chat with Jimmy's, just to work through everything. It's okay, bud. I'm not making fun of you either. I'm hearing you. I'm seeing it. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay, Jimmy's. Let's see. Alex Smith as OC would be a dream. I don't think so, because I don't think Alex Smith has any interest whatsoever. Let me put it this way: Alex Smith has zero interest in coaching. That dude, I think, is happy as can be working periodically. I know the man does his homework, so I'm not this is not a criticism of Alex Smith. He's a great dude. I think working his part-time gig and just dropping in every once in a while to do some interviews and that kind of thing is about as much as Alex Smith wants to be involved in the NFL. That dude has made too much money and enjoys family life in California way too much to be putting in OC hours anywhere. So I don't think you're ever going to see Alex Smith be a coach anywhere, anytime. And I completely get it. Jimmy's, you paid like prorated for the practice squad contract, like $100,000 for Dameon Pierce, probably. So that's probably not even that was probably a rhetorical question, but I figured, hey, that one I could give an easy answer to. Rick, once again, how much do you have to know as a running back for crying out loud? Everyone says, well, then know the scheme. An 80-year-old man can know it, but the scheme, but he can't run it. I feel like Chris Elliott in Groundhog Day, when he said, people think I just take the camera and pointed at stuff. It's a lot more difficult than that. I mean, it is. It is more important, more difficult than that. You gotta know the blocking schemes. You gotta know what the guys in front of you are doing. It helps to know if you know the speeds of the guys that you're doing it. And not. I mean, if you're Christian McCaffrey, you could probably pretty much drop into anybody's offense and start running it in 3 days, like he did when he went to San Francisco, and be fine. Not true with everybody, and definitely not true with like Andy Reid's offense, where the calls are just complicated. I mean, if you put Dameon Pierce in there right now, Gardner Minshew would probably have to go over to him after every play call and say, "Here's what you're doing on this play." I mean, maybe it wouldn't be that bad, but I guess I've just seen this rodeo too many times that guys coming in midseason into an Andy Reid offense and just it's like they've been dropped on Mars. RP Dolan, why are the Chiefs drafting wide receivers that don't fit into the scheme? I think they thought that Sky Moore would fit into the scheme. I mean, they felt like that he would be a nice slot receiver, but the consistency just wasn't there. And I mean, I know I'm gonna look at, because I know Sky's been really good on special teams for the 49ers. But he's got 4 catches for 64 yards. So, I mean, let's not get too excited. I mean, he's been a better special teams player and a punt returner than he has, been a significant piece of their offense. So I'm not ready to declare Sky Moore fixed in an integral part of the 49ers offense. There's still a little ways to go, but I mean, you make mistakes. It's you think about players who might fit in a specific position, and sometimes they don't fit in that way. Chiefs made that kind of mistake with other positions too. I mean, they made the mistake with Josh Uche when they made that trade to pick him up, and thought that even though he's really more of a 3-4 outside linebacker, they brought him in because they thought that maybe he could be a mismatch for Steve Spagnuolo. It didn't work out the way that they wanted to. So, I mean, you can draft a player thinking they'll fit your scheme, and then just once you get them, you realize, well, wait a minute, maybe this doesn't fit the way that we wanted to. Smash that like button like that defensive back named Jefferson from the Chargers. Just don't get ejected and fine. That is the best way to tell people to smash the like button, Jimmy. I appreciate that you were able to take the time out of your Tuesday night meltdown to say that. So I appreciate that. Jimmy's, I appreciate the passion. One thing I absolutely love there, I do love the passion. Rick, okay, once again, Brett Veach chose Clyde over Jonathan Taylor. His claim of fame was finding Patrick Mahomes when he had a good job as a scout, and that's pretty much it. I mean, the Chiefs have won 3 Super Bowls on his watch, Rick, so I can't quite be as dismissive as that. And I don't know. I mean, again, there were reasons, I'm sure, that the Chiefs did not take Jonathan Taylor. I have not had any conversation specifically about why. I do now want to have some conversation specifically about why. And honestly, I mean, I'm pretty sure that the explanation would be that the Chiefs thought that Clyde, based on his play at LSU, was going to be an elite receiver out of the backfield. I mean, that they thought not only could he run, but that he was going to be an elite, pass catcher out of the backfield, that he was a guy that they could get in space, and that Jonathan Taylor was not that Jonathan Taylor was more of a runner, that wasn't a great pass catcher, and that wasn't going to necessarily be a big part of his game. So did they miss that? I mean, there were probably 3 or 4 running backs that came after Clyde that the Chiefs could have drafted, and maybe they would have been better fits. Maybe they weren't. I said this a couple of weeks ago. Maybe Jonathan Taylor comes to Kansas City and he's like an 800 yards guy and doesn't become the player that he is because of the systems that he's been in Indy. I mean, you never know. Maybe Clyde was better in Kansas City than he would have been anywhere else. I mean, I'm completely convinced that if Patrick Mahomes went to any other team in the NFL other than Andy Reid and the Chiefs, that Patrick Mahomes would be a good quarterback he would not be a 3-time Super Bowl winner and potential Hall of Famer. Just I don't think that happens. I mean, it's but hey, had Johnny Manziel ended up in Kansas City, would he be a flameout? Probably not. Would Paxton Lynch have been better in Kansas City than he was in Denver? Absolutely. I'm trying to remember. I think there was another quarterback in the mix there that the Chiefs were thinking about, and those are the two that stand out. But would they have been better in Kansas City than they were in Cleveland and Denver? Yeah. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Oh, poor Jimmy's. Hang in there, man. Hang in there. Matt, how involved does Clark Hunt get at this time of year in choosing draft picks and players and the direction of the team? Honestly, my impression is not that much. I mean, from talking to people and what I've heard from even Clark himself and from Brett and everybody, that Clark wants to know big picture, but if they're going to spend money, wants to know where it's going. They have a budget for sure, and if they're going to go over that budget, they got to go talk to Clark and explain why. And there have been times that they've absolutely done that. So but Clark is not a meddler. He is not not the type of owner that really gets into the day-to-day nuts and bolts. I mean, Chiefs make plenty of moves that Clark Hunt probably finds out about in the transaction report. Finds out about a memo. It's just, hey, if they're going to spend significant money, hey, he wants to know who the first round draft pick's going to be. I don't know if Brett Veach even tells him who the draft picks are going to be in like the second, third, fourth, fifth round. I mean, he's going to find out about most of them because he's in the room, but he's not the type of owner who's going to weigh in. I mean, he's going to sit back and watch and let his people do their work. I mean, he's like I said. I mean, they're going to consult with him, but no, he's not a meddler like that. So this time of year in particular, I mean, they will get Clark will be more involved in discussions like when they get closer to free agency and they're starting that kind of process. This time of year, about the only, I think the only thing that Clark would largely weigh in on in the direction of the team would be contract negotiations. If they're talking with a guy like Trent McDuffie, about an extension, anything like that, talking about maybe some of their other potential free agents, your Brian Cook types, then you're probably talking about that. But Clark's not much of a meddler, so just follow the budget and win. That's pretty much what you need to do under Clark, and let him know when you're doing anything big. Perry, my issue with Embry is he's been the wide receiver coach for 3 years. His first, we let in drops, and this year we are top 3. You either punish it or allow it. I mean, and this is where, I do fault Andy Reid, and because there's a couple of these guys. Connor Embry is one. Todd Pinkston is another. I'm not convinced that they're in the right positions. And was that wise of Andy Reid? I mean, I get it. They won a Super Bowl and they went to another one in this situation with his coaching staff, as constituted as it is. But I mean, once again, is this team better with Todd Pinkston as wide receivers coach and Connor Embry in a different role? Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you and the Chiefs, like I said, I mean, they like Connor Embry. They think he's got a lot of talent. Does it mean he's well equipped to be the wide receivers coach? Not necessarily. And I think he's had some successes. I mean, I think you have to give him some credit because remember, especially like last year with all of the injuries, I mean, that room could have fallen apart and he did keep it together. But, and you're right, there's plenty of deficiencies too. I'm not advocating for that Connor Embry needs to be wide receivers coach. I don't see a reason why he needs to go. I think you just need to find a different role for him. I think the same thing with Todd Pinkston. I think they just need different roles. But Andy Reid's going to Andy Reid to a degree, and he's not going to prove. I mentioned this to Soren Petro earlier today, and Soren came up with a valid question, which is, I said Andy Reid's not going to fire people unless they've, blatantly deserved it and have shown that over a couple of years. And it's like, well, what have some of these guys done to prove that they haven't been, don't deserve to be, fired for blatantly being bad at their jobs? And, I mean, once again, I mean, if you're in a job that is not your area of specialty, well, I mean, Connor Embry is, for a guy who's never played or coached wide receivers before, I mean, he's done the job. Has it been great? No. But does that mean he's a terrible coach? No. It just means that maybe he's doing a job that he's not well equipped for, and maybe you should have been putting him in a different role and putting him in and giving him a place the chance where he could succeed. And that's where I think that the Chiefs, one of the things they need to reevaluate with their coaching staff is if they got people in the right spots. Might have the right people, may not just be in the right job, might have the wrong people in the right job. Come on, Jimmy's. I think I hold people accountable. I mean, I know you got the laughing thing there, so I'm gonna assume that was also kind of just rhetorical. By what metric is Dave Toba got by? I'm not saying by metrics. I'm just saying by reputation, what people in the league think. People in the league think that Dave Toba is a good special teams coach. Andy Reid thinks that Dave Toba's a good special teams coach. There are probably some metrics where I could point out that he's fine. But I won't dispute that, a little bit of it is subjective more than objective. Oh man, Jimmy's, I will look and see if you have some legitimate questions, Jimmy's. Otherwise, I'm just gonna chalk this up to a crazy night. Hope you're doing okay. I really still think they should have given the ball more to Robert Tonyan. All right, Jackson, would we ever do a Chiefs Digest meetup? I was actually oddly enough thinking about that earlier today because I saw a place and I thought, gosh, that would actually be like if we ever did a live stream or something like that, or did a meetup, that'd be a cool place to do it. So you know what? It's definitely a possibility. So let's investigate it. That can be an off-season project, Jackson. So definitely something that some people have asked about. So I would be up for it. So hopefully we can pull it off sometime. And what better time than the off-season, especially when we all have plenty of time on our hands now. Yes, I am. I'm going to try. There's got to be a reason why we've got the weird usernames and not the usernames that you all choose and everything like that for your YouTube accounts. I don't know why it's doing this way. All right, we're getting near the end here, so I will do last call if there's any way that I can sort through Jimmy's Tuesday night meltdown to find some of the questions. Lob threat. Next year's cap looks interesting, especially with the Chiefs spending more with higher draft picks. What moves do you see the Chiefs to make to clear up space next year? I mean, obviously the number one is you're going to rework Patrick Mahomes' contract in some way, whether it's a complete, not rewrite, but you go back in and you just move some money around, more than a simple restructure, but adding more money in, probably adding some years on the back end and restructuring everything. I mean, you can take that $78 million cap hit and cut a lot of it down. Chris Jones, same way. I mean, you're a little bit limited with Chris as to how many years you want to spread that out. But he's got a $44 million cap hit next year, 28.2 million on the base salary. So you can kick some of that into 28 and pick up some savings. You can't spread it over a lot of years. Or excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong line. He's got 19 million in the base next year, but the $44 million cap hit. He also has a $16 million roster bonus. So he's basically due $35 million in cash next year. You can spread that out over 3 years, so you can get some savings. Obviously, you're going to have a little bit of that hit in the 27 and 28, but you may have to do that. His contract is really not built to get out from under until after 26. But those two alone would get you under the cap. So, getting under the cap for the Chiefs is relatively simple. You're going to save quite a bit of money on the Jawan Taylor because you're likely walking away from him. Probably a little bit too early to start moving a money around on Trey Smith, Nick Bolton, Creed Humphrey. You could if you want to. So they've got more places where they could sign and, free up some money. I mean, the Chiefs, if they want to be aggressive, I mean, they could free up easily, maybe, get $30 million under the cap and be able to go out and make some acquisitions. Now, again, I mean, that's going to push some money into 27 and 28. You're going to have to pay the piper at some point, but, that's at least the way that if you want to be aggressive in free agency, you could. And, like I said, Mahomes working out his contract, even with a simple restructure, even if you don't do a full blown, which this would have been normally when you do a full blown reworking of his contract. And now whether the injury is going to change that, I don't know. Haven't really had a chance to talk with anybody about that as far as how it would affect the offseason plans for Mahomes and his contract. But it could, and maybe that does make some changes, but the Chiefs can get under the cap pretty easily. It's just how much cap space do they want to free up and how aggressive do they want to be in free agency versus trying to be aggressive in the draft, maybe some trades. I mean, there's a lot of Brett Veach is going to be aggressive. I don't think there's any doubt about it. It's just how aggressive do they want to be, especially when it comes to free agency. Jackson, do you think Mahomes needs to be given the ability to switch the play call his own plays? I mean, they do that in obviously, I mean, he's got that option in RPOs, which is really just a matter of whether it's going to be a pass or a run based on what he sees. Now you're talking about true audibling. I mean, Andy Reid doesn't usually give a lot of that ability to his quarterbacks. A lot of teams don't. I'd be interested to know just how many, teams do kind of give their quarterback that ability to audible at the line and make a dramatic change in the play. Usually, most of the audibles that quarterbacks do these days are fairly minor. Maybe it's just moving a receiver from one spot to another because of the matchup, or just trying to deal with what they got across the line from them. But you don't normally see these days and age, teams that go true audible where the quarterback can just completely change the play to another play. I don't know. I'd have to check around and see if there's a lot of teams that do that, if anybody does do that anymore. I mean, there's got to be a reason why NFL coaches don't feel like that's something that they want to do, but I can't explain it. I'd have to ask some people about that, Jackson. I'll put that on my list. I'll go on the list. Phil, wouldn't it be smart to trade McDuffie? It's probably here's how I think I would say it, Phil. I think it's probably good business sense. Is it good football? Probably not in the short term. I mean, Trent McDuffie is a really good player. I like Trent McDuffie, but it's difficult to pay everybody. And I was just talking about, you could free up maybe $30 million in cap space. Well, you sign Trent McDuffie long-term and, you could probably sign Trent McDuffie long-term without affecting too much of next year's cap because of just how affordable his 5th-year option is. But, it's still going to cost you money down the road. And again, you can't pay everybody. And I think they've kind of put themselves in a situation here where, McDuffie's is he the one that you can get done? And is there just too much of a need for draft capital to hang on to McDuffie, especially if you're not going to re-sign him? If you're going to let him walk eventually for a comp 3rd round pick, I think you're probably better trading him. I mean, it all comes down to whether or not you can get a deal and if it's a good deal. And I just think it's going to be tough to, I think it's going to be tough to get a good deal with McDuffie that makes financial sense and makes business sense, which was why maybe trading McDuffie makes good business sense. Lob thread: who is more likely to be a Chief next year, Zion Young or FAU? Man, you have to tempt me with Zion Young. I'm with Luttrell. I would say FAU. I mean, I don't know. There's a whole lot you can do with FAU. I mean, um, he's going to be in his last year. He's coming off an injury, so there's not really a lot of trade value. I mean, you could move on. You're not going to get a lot for him. It would just be a change of scenery, third day pick. If there's somebody who feels like, again, that they can get more out of FAU than the Chiefs have. Another one of those. I get why the Chiefs wanted to try it and everything, and to a certain degree, it did make sense, but just hasn't been the right player in the right spot for this team and this defense. So, are there defenses where Felix would probably be a better fit? Yeah, but doesn't mean you're going to get much of a return for him. As much as I'd love to see Zion Young on the Chiefs, I don't know if that's going to end up being in the right spot. So. Paul, thoughts on Kelsey? Just seems like he has the look of a player who is ready for the next step. I try not to read in the players' minds too much. I mean, because you can misjudge them, and until we hear it directly from Travis and what's kind of going on through his head, I don't know. I mean, he did look like a player who was really frustrated and down after the Houston game, and he didn't have that look on his face this week. I mean, it was not as bad as it was last week. When we walked into the locker room this week, he was already getting dressed. After the Houston game, he sat there for a considerable amount of time, just kind of staring at the floor and into space a little bit. I don't know what's going on through his mind, and hasn't really told us on his podcast, and hasn't talked to us after the game or at his locker in the locker room the last couple of weeks. So I don't really know if anybody really knows what's going through his mind. Hopefully he will talk to us next week. And I'm sure that once again, that's going to be one of those questions that comes up, and we'll see if we get a different answer than we have been getting. So, let's see. Brian, what can we expect these last 3 games, and have they put Patrick on the IR list? Have not put Patrick on IR yet. I'm talking with somebody in the organization today. I was, trying to get a feel for when they thought that they might put Patrick on IR, and the answer was maybe tomorrow. But with the Chiefs, I mean, it can sometimes be Wednesday, it can be Friday when they make that move, it can be Saturday when they make that move. Really the big significant part, because I'm assuming that when they do put Patrick on IR, they will be signing. I assume they'll be signing Chris Oladokun up to the 53, which would leave a practice squad spot open. They had a lot of guys in for tryouts today. Signed a couple of them. Could be that one of those guys that wasn't signed still ends up getting signed when they free up a roster spot, at least a practice squad spot. So we'll see what happens. But we'll see. No movement yet made, Brian. Jimmy's. I was just getting to your. We all understand. We get it. I mean, I'm there with you, and I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm being as straightforward as I can with you all about what I see, what I'm told, what I hear, and I guess I don't know about the deflecting part. You might have to explain that one to me a little bit more. And I know you've got like 40 more posts, so maybe you explain that, and I'll look at that. But I don't know if we all saw that. I did not see this coming. I mean, and even the people I know that saw this team, who would have said they saw this coming. I mean, they said it basically because they thought that the Chiefs were going to lose the close games that they won last year, and I guess that's technically what happened. But I did not see this team losing games in the way that they lost games this year. I just didn't see it. Now, were there problems with this team that we saw that and I for one probably just didn't account for them correctly? Yeah, because I didn't think that the running backs room was good enough. I didn't think that their pass rush was going to be good enough. I thought that they were going to be fine at corner as long as they didn't have a lot of injuries. Well, they didn't really have a ton of injuries until late in the season at corner. They still probably weren't good enough at corner. Pass rush was not good enough, but I thought that Steve Spagnuolo was going to be able to better game plan around that and scheme around it. He wasn't able to do that this year. Um, you know, I felt like that when this team with their receiver group was back to full strength, it was going to compensate for a little bit the fact that their running back room was not good. That was also incorrect. So, I mean, Jimmy, I know you had a lot of questions, going into this. So I get that. I get the frustration, but I don't think it was a slam dunk that this team was going to end up in the spot that they were. I mean, maybe you want to fight me on that, and I mean, I'm not going to fight you. I mean, we can agree to disagree, but I I don't know that anyone, even some of the ones that said that the Chiefs might miss the playoffs this year, I don't think that they would have said that they saw it happening quite like this. This has been weird. But to your point, yes, the Chiefs had some weaknesses going into this season, and all of those weaknesses did cost them this year. So, um, Jesus, when do you see Xavier getting surgery? Um, I mean, that's a tricky one because I mean the Chiefs haven't even really acknowledged that he needs surgery necessarily. That is a question that will come up probably pretty soon, might come up this week. Especially depending on what the Chiefs do with Xavier. I mean, if they decided to go ahead and shut him down and go ahead and if he does require surgery and go ahead and do it, I mean, there's not really a reason why they couldn't do it now, unless they obviously just want to, give Gardner a little bit more of help and everything. But it's if he requires surgery, obviously the sooner the better. And if it doesn't, if they didn't shut him down early to go ahead and do it, then I would assume it would be immediately after the season. But like I said, I've not gotten confirmation that, and I've not seen anything officially confirmed that the Chiefs do expect Xavier to require surgery on any of the various things that are ailing him right now. It's a lot. But Alicia, why were McDuffie's weaknesses so glaring this year? I think that just teams did a better job of matching up against him and getting him on their biggest receivers. Now, part of that the Chiefs did draw the short end of the stick. They faced a lot of teams that had multiple big receivers that they just couldn't scheme around, that they couldn't move McDuffie around to kind of prevent him from lining up against some guys that are 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". They faced a lot of teams where he had to face bigger receivers. And, it wasn't just the Dallas game. I mean, obviously he played before he got knocked out of the Houston game. There was some challenges there. I go back even to like Eagles in week 2. The best defensive play in the secondary of that game was made by Noel Williams when he knocked that up a couple of passes, and Trent McDuffie got beat by AJ Brown. He got beat by Devontae Smith, and and that I'll be honest, I still think that there's I know people are tired of hearing me say it, and going back to the Brazil, I think this team started off on the behind the 8 ball and never managed to recover from that trip to Brazil. And McDuffie may be a good example of that. I mean, because he had 2 below average games for him, I thought, to start the season, and never really seemed to recover. And and like I said, I mean, some of it is that also when you talk about maybe why the weaknesses were so glaring this year. I'd have to go back and look, but it seemed to me throughout most of the season that the Chiefs were probably continuing once again to put McDuffie more on the outside and going with other options on the inside, whether it was Jamari Connor or Chris Roland Wallace. They were going, and instead of relying as much on Trent in the slot, where he's going to be matched up against receivers who are usually his style, smaller guys that are maybe quick, but he can keep up with. He just ended up more on the outside, and teams were doing a better job of trying to make sure that he was lined up on their biggest receiver. And that is, it's McDuffie's kryptonite. So I think that to me was the biggest difference this year, is that teams did a really good job of isolating McDuffie on their biggest receivers and then taking advantage of that, because it's his one weakness. And if that's what kind of showed that teams that he's just he's a really, really good slot corner that should be limited on the outside. That's unfortunately going to diminish his value if you're hoping to trade him. And honestly, it's going to diminish his financial value. I just don't know if he's going to realize that and his agent's going to realize that until they test the free agent market. I apologize if Anu, if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. I need to figure out how to get these usernames fixed. Is Nagy leaving a given, or is there a chance he stays? I'm assuming he stays until otherwise, honestly. Like I mentioned earlier, I mean, I think that Matt Nagy is going to be in Kansas City until he gets another job. I don't think, I mean, there's a lot of consideration that if Matt Nagy stays around for, even if he, I think only if he stays, frankly, that Matt Nagy's kind of, the maybe secret coach in waiting, that if and when Andy Reid retires, that Matt Nagy is the heir apparent. That's a speculation, entirely speculation, but I see no reason to believe that Matt Nagy will be leaving other than on his own volition, that only if he gets a head coaching job somewhere. Otherwise, I think Matt Nagy's going to be here in Kansas City. Jesus, who wins comeback player of the year, Mahomes or Parsons? Chris Sims says, guys, it's 2025 ACL happen often and players come back 6 months later. Minihue 90 comes to mind. Yeah, it's the only, 6 to 9 months is kind of the ballpark now for standard and simple ACLs. Mahomes is not simple, which is, why you're going to hear a little bit more in the 9 to 12 month range for Mahomes. And you're hoping it's not in the 12-month range, but 9 to 10 is entirely possible just because it's an ACL plus the LCL. That's a great question though, Jesus. I mean, those are going to be your top two favorites, probably for next year, Mahomes and Parsons. It's the one award that Mahomes hasn't won yet. So I'd be hard pressed to bet against him, but those are your two guys. I'm focused more on the comeback player of the year this year. I mean, good grief. Are you just going to give it to Phillip Rivers for coming back from 5 years on the couch? That's even more impressive than Joe Flacco coming back from stinking and winning the comeback player of the year. Jimmy's is not going to play defensive back for $100,000. Good to know. Alicia, on second, I actually get why McDuffie's weaknesses were so obvious this year, but why has Rashid been so disappointing the back half of the season? Scheme issues or something more? Occam's razor, simplest explanation would probably be that he's just not all the way back from the injury yet, and some of the metrics certainly would seem to suggest and bear that out, because he doesn't have the separation that he's had either as a rookie or last year in the first 3 games of the year. His speed's down a bit, a little bit, but the fact that separation was so consistent as a rookie and those first 3 games of 2024 and have been down so much this year. I mean, to me, it says a lot about just his ability to kind of get away from defenders, the speed, the acceleration, all of those things. I mean, even by the eye test, I don't think that he's as sharp as he was before the injury. And that's to be, once again, guys, and we'll talk about this next year with Mahomes too. Guys coming back from knee injuries are never as good in year 1 coming back as they are in year 2. You're banking on Rashid being a lot better next year than he was this year. I'm sure the 6 weeks off for the suspension didn't help either. I thought that Rashid, especially with the strong off season that he had, especially in training camp, and the way that the team was thinking about him and talking about him and what they felt like he was giving them, that he was going to have a really strong second half of the season when he came back from the suspension, and it just didn't happen. So I don't think it's scheme. I mean, hey, is part of it the fact that the Chiefs are doing some things that are predictable and teams see coming? Yes. Are some of his drops related to that? No. Are some of his drops related to that? Yes. I mean, he got hammered by the Chargers a couple of times, and those were things because the Chargers did a really good job of scouting. They knew what was coming, and that's a weakness on the Chiefs because they're not, that offense is not as fresh as it needs to be. That's some of the things that the Chiefs need to work on. But yeah, I think Rasheed. I don't know. I think that that's the simplest explanation, is that it's a little bit of just not being all the way back from the injury, and the suspension interfering with him. But could it be more than that? Sure. And could it be things that we just don't quite see from outside? Yeah. Patrick, Matt, is there any updates or timeline on the stadium? And do you feel like the new stadium talk has been a bit of a distraction for leadership of this team? Honestly, no. I don't think that the stadium has been an issue for anybody, because honestly, you're talking about the people that are involved. I mean, I don't think Andy Reid thinks that he's coaching in the new stadium. I mean, he's signed through 2029, and I know I'm saying I don't think he's going to retire. I don't think he's the coach of this team in 2031. So, I definitely don't think it's a worry for him. And Patrick Mahomes might be the only player that might still be on this team in 2031. Maybe he won't even. I mean, he'll only be 36 at that point. So I would assume there's still a pretty good chance he's around. But no, I from a player or a coach standpoint, I don't think it's been any concern whatsoever for any of them. I mean, the stadium is a distraction for pretty much Clark Hunt and Mark Donovan and people on that side of the building, nobody on the football side. As far as updates, though, I mean, there's been speculation and hints and rumors that maybe the Chiefs will have an announcement before the end of the year. I'm not entirely convinced that timeline is going to happen. And if they do have an announcement, I'm not convinced that it's a firm announcement or it's a final announcement. It could simply be here's what they're leaning towards announcement. Who knows? But they've obviously there's a lot of pieces for the Chiefs that still have to come together, depending on which site that they're choosing. If they're wanting to stay in Missouri, they're going to have to go to voters for approval. Kansas side, that should not be an issue, but there's other hurdles that they have to jump over on the Kansas side. I just, with the talk and everything like that the Chiefs may have something coming out before the end of the year, I'm finding it unlikely that in the next 15 days, we're all of a sudden going to have, okay, here's the site, here's what it's going to look like. What do y'all think? And, hey, we're going to be voting on this in Missouri in April. I don't know that timeline makes a lot of sense. And I mean, the Chiefs have been consistent that they want the Royals to do their thing first, and that would not necessarily fit in with the timeline. But it could also be that the Chiefs will finally decide, hey, we're going to do our own thing and not worry about what the Royals are doing. We'll see. Brian, did Jefferson get fined for his lovely gesture? Not that I'm aware of, but suspensions we usually get on Monday. Fines we don't usually hear about until Friday, because they like send out a letter to the players that the players get on Friday that will inform them of their fine. So yeah, you do not want to see, if you're a player, you do not want to see an envelope in your locker on Friday if you did something inconsiderate the previous Sunday. So that's when I would expect that if he's fined, that we would find out. I mean, sometimes it can leak out early, but that would probably be when we would find out, would be Friday or Saturday, when the fines usually come out. Jesus, can the Chiefs go over the cap? If yes, by how much? No, NFL is a hard cap, so you cannot go over the cap. You've got to be under it at all times. And really the only time that's tricky is just that it's the one time of the year, well, two times. One, when you're going to the beginning of the new league year and some new contracts kick in, even though you're at March, you're only counting the top 51 contracts. You still have to make sure that all of your 51 biggest contracts fit under the cap. And then, in September, when, the final rosters are put together, I guess, sometimes in late August, but You've got to be under the cap when you go back to counting everybody and not just the top 51. So those are the two biggest deadlines when you have to be under the cap. But you have to be under the cap at all times. So those are the only two times where the cap calculation changes that you have to be accounted for it. But nope, can't go over at all. So yeah, when we're talking about the Chiefs being like anywhere from 30 to 40 million dollars over the cap for 2026 as of now, they're going to have to be under that by beginning of the new league year, which I don't remember the exact date, probably around March 13th. It's like the second Tuesday in March, roughly speaking. So yeah, they're going to have to be under the cap at that point. Which again, like we talked about, there's some simple restructures that you can do to get under if you have to rework some contracts. There's a lot of options, but you don't have to worry about that until March. I do. This is Jesus. You and Jimmy had the exact same logos because of the whole avatar thing with YouTube and StreamYard right now. So I was getting you both. I was gonna say you had a really good question here and not just ranting. But when did the Chiefs need to pay Rice? They can pay him officially starting in January. You can sign rookie players who are under their rookie contract. You can sign them at the end of their third year. So you can sign Rashee Rice to an extension as soon as the end of Week 18, since the Chiefs aren't in the playoffs. So if both sides have anything worked out, that could be as soon as they could announce it. It could be anytime after that, but that's when they could. Now, if they don't sign him before going into year 4, then obviously you've got your other options, which is the franchise tag. You let him try to test free agency or get something done. I know that there has been talks between the Chiefs and Rashee Rice and his camp about a long-term deal. Since really, before the beginning of the season, back to training camp and everything, the Chiefs have had an interest in getting something done. I don't know at this point if there's been any change in that. Really, it's been a few months since I've heard any updates about it, but I know that the Chiefs have been interested and that there was some willingness on the part of Rashee Rice to get something done too. So it's still entirely possible. And obviously the Chiefs are motivated to try and get something done with Rashee Rice because they feel like that they have an opportunity to get a team friendly deal done with him. And if they feel like that's an investment that they don't have to worry about, they don't have any concerns about Rashee Rice going forward, that would be the way to go. So we'll see. I mean, to me, it would be kind of very similar to, the deal that Tyreek Hill got done with the Chiefs and kind of the same situation when they got kind of a team friendly deal done with him as well. It's entirely possible. So, but after Week 18, after the end of the regular season is officially when the Chiefs can, as soon as the Chiefs can sign Rashee Rice to a long-term extension. Jesus, your second question there, we just talked about the stadium. So, Jimmy's, don't get me wrong. I have had plenty of things to say this week about the ground game. That was abysmal. That was one of the just saddest experiences I've ever seen of a team trying to run a football. I can't even explain how bad that was. The only thing that they were able to do is pick up some third and shorts and with Kareem. And at this point, Kareem is like better than the tush push, but that's all they did. I mean, I had joked, I was doing a pregame show with Sirius XM, and I made a joke about how the Chiefs run game right now was 2.5 yards and a cloud of dust. And like you said, Jimmy's, they went out and averaged 1.8. So even at 2.5 yards, I overestimated how much the Chiefs were going to average on the ground against the Chargers. So, all right, Jimmy's, I'm going to say, just take a load off. I'm glad you got it out of your system. I hope you feel better. It's okay. We all have these moments. You're all good. You're all good. not doing anything here. We're trying to have some fun. It's going to be okay. Jesus, are we giving the Chargers too much credit? The final score was not impressive. I don't think the Chargers played well at all. I mean, no, I don't. And I do give Chiefs defense credit. They played well in that game. And here's one thing that I thought was really impressive, Jesus, because I thought that without Trent McDuffie, especially then, being able to use him in the slot, I thought Ladd McConkey was just going to have a field day. And the Chiefs held him in check. And some of that was because they were able to get some pressure on the quarterback and they blitzed well and they had some moments. I mean, again, if the defense had just gotten a couple of stops here and there, they could have won that game. And I'm not blaming it on the defense, because you hold a team to 16 points, you should be able to win the game. Your offense should be able to get that done. So I don't think the Chargers were world beaters in that game. I thought it was a pretty mediocre performance by the Chargers as well. And then who wins the AFC? Man, I tell you what, I'm at a loss on who to predict on this one, because the teams with the two best records, and in the Packers, the Patriots and the Broncos, I'm just not sold on either one of them. I'm sold on the Patriots in that I think Mike Vrabel is an incredible coach. They have had an incredibly soft schedule. That I just and Drake May has had a great season. I'm just, once again, soft schedule. Just not sold that New England or the Broncos have got what it takes to get it done. I'm not sold. I mean, I don't think that it's to me, it's all about the quarterbacks. Is Bo Nix, is Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, are these guys playoff quarterbacks? Are these guys Super Bowl quarterbacks? I mean, at some points, young guys can become Super Bowl quarterbacks. It happens. So of that group, I mean, I would probably say Drake May is the most prepared. But again, I mean, I just don't know how good New England is. Honestly, whose year this should be to win the AFC, and they're not perfect, but it's Buffalo. I mean, their nemesis is gone. I mean, Buffalo, this is their year. And honestly, there's a lot of things about Buffalo. I mean, they've had a much tougher schedule than Denver or New England have had. They've had some struggles. They have not been perfect, but I mean, this field is set up for Buffalo. Now, for Buffalo, it'd be great for them if they could win the AFC East. If they can win the AFC East, I think Buffalo is going to the Super Bowl. It's going to be a little bit more difficult if they don't win the East, but I think right now, I'm betting on Buffalo. I think they are. I think this is their moment. This is their year for sure, because they've been able to beat anybody but the Chiefs, and they don't have to worry about the Chiefs this year. Oh, Paz is my Bezzy. They need to. Hope I did that right. They need to sit Mahomes for a year, trade Jones, McDuffie, get some extra picks, and build a bully to compete with the AFC West. I mean, trading Chris Jones is not out of the realm of possibility. It would, again, I mean, it would hit their cap a little bit. They would have to eat some cost to do that, and honestly, you'd have to have a team that's willing to acquire a 31-year-old interior pass rusher that is coming off a bad season, or at least an underperforming season. So I don't know that you can get a lot for Chris Jones. That's just another one of the vagaries of the NFL. I mean, Chris Jones, he's still capable of a lot. He can take over a game. He has taken over some games this year. He didn't take over enough games, and he didn't take over games long enough to really dominate. And that's going to hurt. That would hurt his value as a trade market. But, I mean, it's a perfectly viable idea that if you're just saying to yourself, hey, you know what, don't push Mahomes, let him come back on his own. Maybe he comes back into midway part or into the season, not comes in to knock off the rust a little bit, just get ready for 2027. I wouldn't do it. I mean, I still feel like that if you think you got a year where you're going to have Mahomes healthy for the majority of the season and for the playoffs, that's a year that you can win a Super Bowl. So I'd still go for it. You could get some capital for McDuffie. There may be some other guys that you could end up trading as well, to try and get some draft capital. I mean, if you really wanted to just, tank for a year, I still would be hesitant to do it. I just would be hesitant to tank at any point when you got, Mahomes year. Got Mahomes, because any year with Mahomes is a chance to win a Super Bowl. I still feel like that's legitimate. Attic Chiefs, do you think Mahomes will be a different quarterback when he returns? That's the worry that some have. That when he comes back, I was talking with Ryan Tracy over at Locked On Chiefs earlier today, and he was talking about when Mahomes comes back, he's probably going to be wearing a brace on that left knee the rest of his career. And if that's the case, he's not going to be as mobile and nimble and evasive as he has been in the past. And might not be the same quarterback when it comes to moving around and everything. And I mean, let's say he's not going to turn to Dan Marino. He's not going to be a statue back there. But is he still going to be able to be a quarterback that runs around and dives for the end zone and takes those kind of hits and can do some of the moves as far as evading tackles and being as nifty and as he has been in the past? I mean, chances are no. He's not going to be. But everybody's different. Every knee is different. Every recovery is different. Is it possible that he comes back and he's just as good as he has been and just shows no ill effects? It's possible. I would assume that when he comes back that he is going to have a little bit less mobility than he has had in the past. So we'll see. But I think you have to, Addict. I think you have to anticipate that he's not gonna be the same player. He's gonna be a little bit different. And that plenty of guys have had these injuries and come back and still been great quarterbacks. Tom Brady did. So Tom Brady was great quarterback for many, many years after his ACL tear. And he had it, if I'm not mistaken, at like the exact same point age-wise in his career that Patrick's had it. So it's not a death sentence. It's not a career ender. I mean, that's not what ACLs are these days. So he'll be back. And now, is he going to be as good as he was? He might be different. And different doesn't mean worse. So Jesus, is Kareem getting a pay raise somewhere else? Good question. I mean, I could see a team maybe being interested in Kareem just because they see a short yardage back that can get them some third downs and fourth down pickups that without exposing their quarterbacks to the tush push and everything, because that's what the Chiefs have done. I'd bring him back for that purpose. Don't need to have Kareem being every down back or anything like that. Just bring him in to be a short yardage back because he has been brutally effective at that. So somebody might pay him, but I'd bring him back if I'm the Chiefs, and I don't think anybody's going to pay him a lot of money. I think he'd still be available. All good, Jimmy. Of course, you. Oh, hey, you can take as many shots at me. We're good there. I'll never be offended, Jimmy's. I'm glad you got it off your chest. I hope you're feeling better. See you next week. Have a wonderful holiday as well. And I especially can't criticize you because you've stuck here for like all 3 freaking hours. So I'm not going to complain about you, Jimmy. You're one of our people. So no issues here, my friend. All right. Well, yes, I have managed to waste another 3 hours of all of our lives, and I think we've exhausted ourselves here. So, trying to see if there's any more questions. I don't think so. I mean, appreciate Luttrell. I don't know if I was dominating, but maybe I got dominated. But hey, thank you everyone for joining, whether you have joined live or you're joining on the rewatch, anything of that nature. Truly appreciate it. Everybody with the super chats and the support, Luttrell, Jesus, I'm DeBrown, Dog Petter, always appreciate it. Luttrell, happy holidays. It was a very generous contribution from you, so thank you very much. Got to work on my wandering. Still trying to get this down for Nick's sake, and once again, Nick, you're our family, so we will be thinking of you and yours throughout all of this. Best of luck to you. I guess, well, next week will be the 23rd. I'm going to be here on the 23rd. I know some of you may not be able to. So if you're not going to be able to, yes, thank you very much. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all of you. Anybody who's able to join us for a fireside chat next Tuesday, we'll be here for it. Nick's not going to be able to join me for post game for the next couple of weeks. So may be able to do something over on Chiefs Digest to see if I can work something out and we can talk about the game. Might be more difficult on Christmas because I might have to be all by myself. And I don't know if anybody's going to want to join me on Christmas to talk about the game, whether it's somebody to share their insight or even all of you to be here online. Everybody have a great week. Going to try and see you after the game on Sunday. If anything pops up, you will be able to see me on Sunday. I will be on the pregame show on KSHB 41, 10:30 in Kansas City. If you are not in Kansas City, you can stream that pregame show on the KSHB website, so you can check it out there. That will be the live pregame show on Sunday morning before the Chiefs and the Titans. If we don't see you after the game, watch the announcements here on YouTube. If I can get something together, I will let you all know. But we'll have some videos throughout the week from over at One Arrowhead Drive as the Chiefs are getting ready for this game. And then, of course, we'll be here next Tuesday for the 23rd. And anybody who wants to join us will be here. So everybody, enjoy yourselves. Take care. Brian, get better. Get home. If there's anybody I missed, thoughts and prayers to you. Everybody have a great holiday. Take care of yourselves, and we will catch you all up soon. Take care and enjoy yourselves.